phone on the president. Do you have strategic information there? Sure, it's not like that. Yeah, sure. I have to take it because I take it because with the accusation at the time it was the fake news investigation is being completed. I think today, half 12 years old, also today half 12 years old, including a few weeks ago, there was an investigation that was archived there from a politician, right, who had a problem of embezzlement of resources. Do you know the reason he was dismissed? According to the minister who dispatched her, the investigation lasted 4 years. If you have approved nothing so far, you will not approve anything from now on. It's been archived for 4 years, and the fake news one is 6, right? In other words, the Supreme Court itself stumbles on its rules in order to achieve one of their targets, which is me.
It's me, the fake news inquiry. He's really weird, isn't he? It's not. I don't say that like it is to defend one side or to defend the other. But the fact is, he's really weird. He does. It works in a strange way and tends to generally attack people who are more Bolsonarist or more identified or pushed towards that side.
Totally over there. No? You only underwent certain measures, right? Rui Costa Pimenta from the PCO believes that despite his radicalism, there is something there that I respect and have always respected freedom of expression. Everybody.
Is this the main problem in Brazil, in your opinion, today?
Completely. It is. You want to see something that happened to me? You today, you watch a football game, 6 in the afternoon, 7 in the evening, it's 8 o'clock. In the past, during the week, only after 9 p.m. and 40 p.m., that is, you were obliged to watch Jornal Nacional to see football. I ended all that, guys, including right Botafoguense. Then you are champions, but I thank myself that we created in 21 Safe. A corporation is football. Football is a company.
Initiative?
It's yours, it's my people, but it's not me personally.
I mean, your government, when I say yours, yours.
Government until Fortaleza, which was a success last year, until Aham Pessoa in the end, has even dreamed of the possible. It's a championship, right? Also, on top of Safra, Portuguesa Esporte de São Paulo. The information is that I had, okay? I didn't confirm him, but Portuguesa Esporte got into it too. Then you will have a future of him. This is private energy. It's much better to manage these things. When you stay at the club there, I also think it gets complicated.
But we were talking about
Dede.
freedom of speech is fundamental and expression should be protected. Then I asked you if you believe it's the main issue in Brazil.
I guess he's the foundation, huh? Without free speech, you don't have it.
Democracy, but what do you call freedom of speech? And why isn't it happening in yours?
Opinion. You can see if we discuss the vaccine here. Wow, we have no problem tomorrow if we discuss ballot boxes too. Now, if you talk about the Bible, you can criticize at will, no problem at all. Got it. In other words, what guys want is called a start system, which has a first and last name, each of them, right? Even more, he discovered why when we get there, the guys want to continue running Brazil. It's up to me. I was not an authoritarian president, quite the contrary. I suffered an action a week in the federal Supreme Court, upset many times, and complied. Blow on blow all the time. I've never persecuted anyone, trying to overturn someone's part, seeking to demonetize it in court, closing it down, arresting it, as was done after me, okay? So I respected that there. That's democracy. I think when there is excess, more freedom is the remedy for you to do with each. Go back to your little house.
But will it be, if you think I've seen you say a few times that it's the will of the people, it should be sovereign, yes. Do you think that Brazilian society is really prepared for freedom of expression like this, like the American one, for example? Why am I saying this? There you go. It doesn't have much to do with what I think, okay? Yes, if you ask me what I think we would need more time as a society to evolve as a society to have full freedom of expression. Like you suppose you have in the United States. Why am I saying this? Because I don't think that if you go out on the street, hold a plebiscite and everything else, people will buy this idea. The guys prefer, and I suppose they have, that it is more than that, has some laws that hold the wave of a full freedom of expression. But I don't know that you...
You think so? Back then, the left had a monopoly on freedom. Today, it is the opposite. Gleisi Hoffmann herself has now taken over the ministry. She praised Minister Alexandre Moraes, who is the person who imposes censorship the most in Brazil. So since this censorship is on top of the right part, much of the left is applauding.
Is that me? Well, you can't say that's a lie because... but this phenomenon is interesting because it is important to remember that is one.
When, huh? No one's gonna stay all the time. Send even dictators and from Aminda Da, right? It's Saddam Hussein. Everyone fell one day, there's another dictator. Doubt. Despite passing on to other dictators, there is not a day that has come to an end here. Here we are still, in my opinion, at a point almost stopping, especially because it is my understanding. We Brazilians are not in a position to solve our problems of freedom of the point we have reached. We need signs from outside Brazil. Yes, they are happening. In my opinion, with Donald Trump's victory in the United States. There, the First Amendment tells you about free speech. There has now been an opinion from the Spanish Public Prosecutor's Office on the journalist. It's the stable saying that the accusations you were going to make against me in a little while, right? How did it all happen? All this here for them is freedom of expression. It's not a crime. Then we won't believe Daniel. I loot. What if the movement was armed with a leadership with an objective target? With troops, then you could say, look, there were 11, beginning of a seizure of not even a seizure of power. It's a seizure of power, which would be January 8th, right? It was already, that's what constituted the president. You could even think about it now, it's such a business. You give the coup even on a Sunday. You talk very armed here, right? Violent and armed. They didn't find the only weapon they found. It was a stretch with a marble mediator, a bar forcing you can see the next day or the 8th. We are all governors in Brasilia. And Lula, right? Being congratulated by the whole world for saving our democracy. What?
And you?
Then you?
What went through your mind when you were there in the United States and you saw that what was happening on January 8th was happening?
For everyone and for you too. Did you hear about the day?
I knew the day.
Can you think that 1,500 people who were arrested for 1,500 people had a plan to seize power and no one found out just that day? No. The really true story is you fall back. Why are there almost 200 cameras from Flavio Dino's Ministry of Justice? Nothing was presented as one. It was not as a defect. No, that's not it. In my opinion, it's just that they were going to show you how to get in and out by car in the morning. What did Lula come to do in the morning here in Sao Paulo, in Araraquara, next door? A guy who likes to sleep late, but on Sunday. Me, do what? All right, so that's it.
The whole story, he likes to sleep late.
We know that we already have information from your Zap. No, I never slept with him. I don't even know if he snores, okay? You know his habits, right? I understood you.
You know what? Okay, no, I'm just picking on you to make a joke, but I get it, okay? It's careful.
With the jokes, boy, nowadays there's a process.
Oh, it depends. If you take it easy, you're calm. Yeah, she's a bitch. But then you were, okay? But man, if this persecution, which is how you are, which is how the Bolsonarist people are seeing what is happening now, it's kind of like is January 8th is going. He wasn't kind of a perfect storm because, oh, I'm saying this is a guy who has nothing to do with you, Lula, or anything. I was there watching and I saw what happened there, the middle of the internet. It's kind of crazy and everything else. You were in the United States. Hey, why did I ask you what went through your mind? Because have you thought about it, man? If you had told me, no, nothing. You weren't.
No one knew about that movement, although General G. Diaz of GC did. According to Abin reports, he received 30 and 33 reports. I saw that there could be 11 uproar there with me in the presidency. When our people, that demonstration did not happen anything. We got through 4 years without a problem, okay? Our people are polite. They don't even play paper in the street. You put 1,000 on the street there in Brasilia. The moment I find a piece of paper on the floor is over. So it was like that. It was in Paulista twice, wasn't it? It was once in Copacabana Sunday. Now it will be again in Copacabana. It will be the same thing. Our people are well behaved and are people that many are proud of being right wing, and many say that they began to understand politics with our coming to power, that I opened up people's game. You may not like it, but it was a different government, even by the composition of the ministries.
Yeah, you made an attempt there, and at the beginning I remember that I was like this, well, that's cool. There are some, you talk a lot about Tarcísio, and Tarcísio is really impressive in how much he knows when he came here as Minister of Infrastructure. I always say that. There is a he knew exactly about the specific toll that there is in Rio Mage, no.
Brazil, all yes. How many times have I been there in Piauí? Tarcísio, I'm here in such a city, and what is there on this highway to be done, and when it's time to tell you?
On time?
That is what other ministers have said.
In the same way, but I bet that along this journey, with this more technical ministry and everything else, you came to understand that you were learning things about being a president who has concessions, what you have to do, right?
You're giving in to something, I won't deny it to you.
Is there any way?
It wasn't up there, the consent a little further down, yes. You can't escape saying, you can't start from the principle that all political indications are people who, don't you?
Absolutely, poor.
For example, now Teresa Cristina was the nomination of the Parliamentary Agriculture Front. I asked them for their name. She was a federal deputy from the PP. She came to work with us, and because I worked from it, it was a success that she had the freedom to work. I just asked her. He agreed to put the secretary of the play, who is Jorge Safe, who would give a bath on the program here to talk about fish farming.
How is Jorge safe?
Jorge safe. He is currently a senator. The rest there was all Teresa Cristina. That's how they were. All ministries, taxi drivers themselves, fire. It's a sensitive place. Be careful there. He was already the one he took. It's not just DNIT. It also took the ports, airports. So this grind is heavy. This grind and 11 budget for the size of Brazil. Small 7 billion raise only took there. Last year it was 16 ahem.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, do you think that if we go, we're now having a moment where you're saying freedom of expression, everything else, yes, we can centralize this in a certain way, kind of without saying it, but by saying it in stvi, we can even be a little more specific. Yeah, man, back in the past when you were president, yeah, there was the lava toga CPI thing. If this had gone forward, we would be in a different situation today. Why am I talking? Because I also feel as a citizen that OSTF took a protagonism that it shouldn't have, right? And I'm not a political scientist, but this feeling I have is a lava toga CPI. Ali wouldn't have held a wave, wouldn't have made any difference in that regard. You were against it, you articulated to stop Flavio, you were against it, I saw him talking and so on.
Consider our expectations at that time. We anticipated the Supreme Court would exercise restraint. So are we just going to wait now? Don't you have color? To move forward a CPI within the chamber or within the Senate. So I always tend to get into fights where you have a chance of winning, okay? You don't have it, let's not wear ourselves out for anything. We will wear out even more with the judiciary for nothing. And you can see the judiciary, everything is right there, okay? And the Supreme Court really exceeded and still remains out of control, right? If you, in a little while, you will quote here my 4 penal types here. Just one kills a dick. Want to see? Go and simple thing. For example, out of the 4 here, just one here. For me, qualified damage, deterioration of listed property, you have to individualize the penalty. I broke something herein.
Brasilia was not in the United States.
Did I encourage someone to break something?
But you don't feel me either, man, and so it's not bothering you, it's morals. You don't feel like you should be fucking man. Then go home, everyone gets there. Why? Over the course of the last year, some are going. You were going to speak out, talk to the guys. Guys, a lot of people would go, always. A lot of people, and a guy with a kind of scrotum had to go there. There had to be some screams of AI 51.
Like.
That it could, yes, but it could roll like this, damn it, then get that sign out of there. No, 05, no, I don't know.
How many times did I get our people to go? The guy who has the AI5 track asks, what is AI5 to him?
But it's him.
I didn't know what.
It was Bolsonaro, but...
Since I didn't speak, I don't know. Already live mine. I'm tired of saying that. So, sorry, for example, in the demonstrations here in Paulista, and I'm asking in Rio too, not to carry posters, because if a guy gets up there, AI5 had something absurd, because it's absurd, that's the press.
Isn't it over?
On duty, look here. Oh, and I had problems now because I can't lead Brazil. Everyone makes the demonstration they want. For example, in Manaus, there will be what I asked the people. Let's focus on Rio de Janeiro, even to avoid this. You do, for example, in Goiânia, the demonstration, let's assume, and there a guy takes your sign at 5 o'clock. It's going to stain everyone, so much so that I asked for it. Now you're going to show up. In another municipality, find out who is organizing it. And with the agenda I talked to, it helps us a lot to Silvio Malafaia. There are several other parliamentarians, because if you leave it, you will get a poster on the left itself. You will get a strange little letter. Then you'll keep talking. You're an infiltrator. Then you can't do it anymore. You throw down a work that is going well with our goal of Copacabana amnesty. And I even want to talk there, right? Are you a stay-at-home dad? I'm not a father. Quality is, you're a kid, 12.
And 10?
12 and 10 is Deborah. She has 2 children, 10 and 8, if I'm not mistaken. She's been in preventive detention for 2 years because of the lipstick one. Now, there are people there, for example, who are women, who have small children and are in prison. Imagine we are different from women, from feeling account. The woman is much more attached to her child than us. She works all day. The woman spends more time with the child. Imagine a mother sleeping and waking up without. Give a bath or kiss a child of yours and know that he is 17 years old. And this and these penalties are not abusive. Oh, now, not now. It wasn't individualized just by anyone. Oh, you broke it. You stopped the assets here, didn't you? It's called a basin. It's a basin. I also see that many lawyers are already starting to take a position on a criminal issue. The defendant is convicted and the judge is not present. My lawyer's voice has no oral support. He records a 15-minute video, which has already been proven back there, has a deadline to deliver at midnight. Since he has already done it, delivered at 11 and 59:23, and 59 and 05 already had a sentence. No one read it. He prepares the sentence. He waited for midnight to release the sentence. This is a justice. This is not democracy. And lawyers have a certain amount that complains a lot of time, but there is also a crescent in the middle of them that recorded video is not oral support.
Yeah, is that amnesty? How many do you have? There's a bunch of guys in jail. How much is in jail? Do you have a crew? It does.
There are more than 100 condemned, spread out over 14 or 17 years. Must be about 100 in Argentina, and there's a runaway hit out there.
But like this.
Lives destroyed, families shattered.
That's the political moment. Oh, I'll give you my opinion. I think I find the amnesty thing difficult. Because it kind of imagines what would OSTF lose, and they're too strong to lose.
Look, or you have the people as the gift of power. You don't have one. Now, I know it's hard for you to say that. I know it's hard. People override the Constitution. My case, since I'm on it, I'm just as guilty as that because you didn't follow due legal process. Last week, the Supreme Court changed the issue. From the forum last week, that now second reason from the Supreme Court. I am now the Supreme, but until last week I wasn't. But he was being tried there and changed the game, changed the rule of the middle.
What's the argument for sending someone straight to OSTF?
You know, lightning trial?
You don't need a legal argument. If something doesn't happen but still ends this process, you'll be released.
And so these guys want the process to be different.
Was it different?
It was different. Lula was the person who... You had a chance to defeat me. According to Supreme Aham himself, you couldn't defeat me. Haddad couldn't. Aham Siro couldn't. People from the left. No one could name him. According to them, the surest person to defeat me would be Lula. Yes. So he reinterprets the arrest in the second instance with Lula Uhum.
So you can get him out of the election?
18 for the last instance, BD only from jail B, but he had 3 convictions. Who has 2? The collegiate has 11 second instances like it had on the internet.
His speed, I saw you complaining that yours is fast.
No, mine was much faster, okay? It's going much faster, okay? So I had to revoke it. And for the issue of CEPI, right? Oh, he should be tried in Curitiba, in Brasilia, not in Curitiba, to annul 3 of his convictions. He's back to square one, no convictions, he's eligible again, and...
Exactly.
Ahem, so what? I think you're gonna get into that, huh? He had a heavy hand in the TSE for him. A very heavy hand. OTSE for Lula.
But, Lula, if I'm not mistaken, I even heard you saying, what the hell, what oh, Squid Loose was good. Yeah, that's it, yeah. It's better than there.
Joy didn't say that. No. That's what they preached. I didn't say that, okay? I didn't say no. I didn't meddle in this vote, okay? Some even say, right, that Casio Nunes' vote was one of the 3-2 votes to free Lula. It wasn't true. The vote was 2-2 and Casio's vote was missing. Then someone asked for a view there, moved on to the following week. The following week, Casio voted to maintain Lula's arrest, and then one of the people had voted to maintain it the week he went back, and it was 3-2 for his release. I didn't get involved in this story, especially because I had a problem with electronic voting machines. The origin of my process is an electronic ballot box, because...
Is it because you're so sure you do? CAO in the electronic ballot box.
Look, come on. You'll understand perfectly. Before me, Brizola, back in the 90s, had a problem, a pro-computerized count. Consult in Rio de Janeiro. And he raised this hair, and then it was proven that if it was done that way, he would lose the elections in Rio de Janeiro. It was 96, wasn't it? It was. You went in where he went in. At first I thought it was cool, yeah.
There's a video that you...
Saying no, I didn't think it was cool, okay? Then we saw the possibilities that exist. I believe in the machine. I don't. I'm not. I have to trust the programmer.
I understand, okay?
So let's go. Before me, Deputy Flavio Dino criticized Orna. Carlos Lupi from the PDT said that voting without paper was fraud, right? And then they changed their minds because his people were coming, right? So the team that's winning, you don't move on it, and I'll continue this fight, okay? Like 2010, 2012, 2015 is to have an amendment. The rapporteur was Rodrigo Maia from Rio de Janeiro, okay? He ended up accepting Dilma, vetoed the amendment. We overrode the veto by over 400 votes in the House alone, okay? Minister Fuchs was president of the TSE. He invited me to go to the TSE. I went there. He showed me the equipment. He said that in the 2018 elections, 5% of the sessions would have printed votes. I asked him, you can spray the ballot boxes. He said, already, spraying is already planned, right? All right, so what? Soon after, the Federal Supreme Court, by 8-3, says that vote with paper on the side was unconstitutional. And the argument was that the roll, right, put the security of the elections at risk. In other words, you voted, you didn't put your hand on the paper, it appeared on the paper display, you confirmed it, what's going on in the Supreme Court, right? That it was actually Raquel Dodge who proposed that there, if the roll caught a cold. You would know, you poll worker, you would know who I was voting for here, but that doesn't justify that one. In Venezuela, you can only see the printed ballot. Now one can come to the conclusion that the election was rigged, and there now, why did Venezuela adopt the printed vote for the first time? I have to know this. You will know from history, right? That the American had lifted embargoes in Venezuela so that the American could buy oil from Venezuela again. The Biden government had to have 11, sorry. Then they brought together in Venezuela, the United States, Representative Maduro and the opposition, which was Maria Corina Capriles, among others. And then they decided that in last year's elections, right, the vote would be printed. What did Maduro do? Mischievously, fuck, I'm going to lose. Then he took Maria Corina and Capriles and returned the ineligible for 15 years. Accusation, attack on democracy, because they got on the sound car there and criticized a duo. You're too fat. That's it. It's enough to make them ineligible. And even so, Maria Colera took it there. You've never heard Edmundo speak well of a certain age, right? And it ended up dragging crowds through Venezuela. And then it came to a conclusion, because with 70% of the votes counted, Venezuela's electoral system broke down. It broke down in quotes, right? So what? Stayed that hour. Maduro has to present the ballot papers, And he didn't, obviously, because what is the ballot paper? It's not just that kite that you, when you go to vote, see fixed there after 5 p.m. there in your electoral session, was the vote inside the ballot box too, okay? So this whole mess, Maduro consulted his Supreme Electoral Court unanimously. It's all right, So what? So the civilized world didn't recognize it? Brazil recognized Maduro's victory, recognized it because Lula sent an ambassador there for Maduro's inauguration. Now here, what's the problem with you asking +1 + 1? Barrier is the electoral guarantee, which I learned early, right? He was active in the army. He is that democracy has no price, and I vote for the soul of democracy. So if there is any distrust, why not put an end to that suspicion? Got it. It may even be that there is nothing. You can, but why not put an end to that suspicion?
The army didn't do a strong search at the end of 2022 for some type of failure. Look.
The army will talk armed forces, okay? They will interfere in the electoral process, okay, as something. Minister Barroso was president of the TSE, so he decided to create an electoral transparency commission, okay? He put several institutions there among the armed forces. When you did, I called as Minister of Defense. Look, since we're there, we've got 11 Cyber Defense Command, a 200-person hack, right? Everybody's got that one. Let's get the people to collaborate with OTSE. We were boycotted everywhere.
That's where it originated there. Inquiry 3 and 61? No, it wasn't. That was another plan. Okay, yeah.
His story is cool.
Okay, it's cool, but come on, let's go on it. Yeah, I got it. Come on. It's because this thing about, because I'm talking like that. Yeah, I saw it. I don't think it's Sid who's talking. That General Paulo Sergio, who was in front of the of a task force, I think, to see if there was fraud at the polls and everything else. The guy was looking for it and couldn't find it.
No problem at all. Seeking is to collaborate, but it is to achieve. He knows everything and has never participated in the Redomia with the generals. The rare time he participated, which was an open meeting with generals, with sector ministers, he did not participate at all. Now, he was when they made the probationary fishing, fish expedition, his phone number, found the issue of fraud vaccine, and in testimony, his wife confirmed that the fraud had been carried out in Goiânia. So, on top of that, a punishment for the wife and daughter. He was shaken and, as I understand it, tortured. We saw psychologically in the final stretch, you never saw 11 judges. Attend a testimony of one of a whistleblower. He was there and threatening.
My wife was there.
She's even a daughter. Can you imagine, son? You complicate the situation.
Is that the threat? Yeah, if you don't tell the truth this time, we will. We'll continue the investigation into your family. The family.
Yes, you said if your wife is him and if your daughter, right? All right? It is. So then he was exceeding. In my opinion, he was exceeding. Now, he talks a lot. Then some things are true that he says, oh, others I keep thinking. How do guys have knowledge? I didn't even know that. I get it, okay? Now let's talk. It's worth it. But you, I'm liking you. I wish the Brazilian press had that investigative press, right? To get to the bottom. So much so that when you asked me as soon as I got here, I'm going to ask you certain things that I answered you.
Come on, man.
Let's go, man. There's no problem here.
Let's leave. So, is CID really like that? This is CID's denunciation forming the basis of the Das Davai rather than the process to be held. I think on the 25th, OSTF will review the complaint to determine if you become a defendant, right? Pretty quick. Then you commented on Twitter, wow, super fast and stuff, I understand. Show your face here so people can see.
That's it.
Can you see that, guys? I got it.
Hello, here is here. Oh, here. Oh, yeah.
It's good. You can see.
AP spent more than 2 years investigating. If we count on the mother of fake news investigation, which is there in No Pacoton, they also spent 6 years investigating. They gave 15 days for defense reasons, including Carnival. It has more than 100,000 pages, and there is something that they didn't deliver. This 100,000 page has a lot. It has nothing to do with the process. There is a term in English there, yeah. And when you use this artifice, it's to scramble the defense. And when the judge is good and the public ministry is good, you close the deal right there. Ahem. They did everything evil to hinder the investigation, and you talk to the lawyers who have greater knowledge here, obviously, right? We have to have access to all the documentation that deals with the process. It's good when you talk on the phone.
That's the bare minimum.
Yeah, it's 30 something, right? Reported there, half a dozen phone calls. The rest you don't have to. If I take a statement from your phone, I don't know. So the guy uses that extract however he sees fit.
Yes.
What type of scam is this? The day is conversing with the guy from Israel, right? Inform him what scam this is that Mossad didn't know about. There was an attempted coup, and he didn't even mention the coup attempt. In a few minutes, the whole world knows what this coup is, that there was no army in the streets, no rifles, and no leadership. For whoever prepared this trap, it wasn't perfect because I wasn't in Brasilia. Do you have any doubts? If I were in Brasilia, I wouldn't even be in jail.
Today I think I was stuck,
Today was the 8th. What if it was the 15th? What if it was March 30th? I spoke to the person who approached me, Minister Zé Lucio. He even went to Roda Viva. He spoke in mid-December. And I wanted dialogue with the commanders to make the transition. It opened the doors. I appointed 2 ministers, the Air Force and the Army. I will appoint a minister after trying to carry out a coup. It's a joke. And another is the coup. You can see, people keep thinking it's easy, right? It's not easy to take a hit. Come on, and you have to be okay.
Organized to give one.
Scam, you have to be very well organized and prepare for the...
After day, of course.
Will it be the same the next day? Hey, you at home with your mother-in-law. At home, you play with your wife. Raise your voice. Are you ready? Because my mother-in-law is home. After days, the world raises the barrier against us. Turns off the signal of this train. Here you can even have a big outcry. 1 or 2 days.
No, Brazil does not admit a coup.
No, it doesn't exist. There is something else, but also...
It doesn't stop people from trying.
You take it, you don't do anything crazy. Anybody's out there? What's the matter? But...
Dude, let me ask you a real morale stop. Look, yeah, I believe it will. Yeah, okay. Then I was in the United States and January 8th was happening here. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are so passionate about what you stand for. In a way, you can tell she's in love with you. Yeah. That these guys, they are... Would you say they're too proactive? Look, like Sid's too proactive a guy. It's the...
Sid extrapolated, right?
But what about...
The guys took too much initiative, didn't they? It was always on. And another thing, he was a guy everyone was looking for. Generals were looking for a wall.
That...
Lamentations is, I spoke to his phone. It was the Western Wall, wasn't it? And another thing, he had a meeting with the minister. That's not him. I had 4 aides de camp, four officers.
Sid was the boss, huh?
He was the boss, but he had the rotation in all of them. If you talk to me, I didn't act as a witness for any of the others because the kid calls the kid, it was the lieutenant colonel. I was going to be worried. No, I didn't roll as a witness that they were going to say, what? Why did I go to the States?
United, huh? Why did you go to?
The States.
United, I solved it.
To the United States. I had a feeling there might be a problem here in Brazil. Oh, okay. I had a feeling. I'm leaving Brazil. I don't trust this guy coming in. I'm not going to give him the band ever, and I will. I enjoyed my hangover, huh? Outside Brazil. If I stayed here, I'd be screwed, okay? It is now, you can see repeating here, you will strike upon empty building. What is a scam? You arrive at the head of state, kill, arrest, deport.
You dagger, green, yellow man, and you got it?
What to ask?
That's the biggest fire. Is that you?
It does.
How can Lula be killed like that?
No, first is kidnapping and poisoning.
Yeah, but it's poisoned. Lula had Alexandre de Morato. You have to.
Ask APF. Didn't you hear the computer gift who had this plan for El Verde and Amarello?
APF didn't hear it?
You heard, didn't you?
But how does Gone put that in the O?
Gonet more than repeated. APF aggravated. You even said that I warmed up, right? But I warmed it up. But based on what? Based on what? Prove it. I have to prove I didn't. They have to prove I did.
Are they good?
You have to prove that I destroyed property. It's just the opposite. He has to prove that I tried to stage a coup.
In that sense, it's calm, because that's how it is.
As far as charges are concerned, calm, total. Now it's a political trial.
You were talking about following due process, right? What's up? What steps? What are the main steps, in your opinion, that are being disrespected?
First thing, Lula was tried yesterday.
In the first instance.
13th Valley in Curitiba. First instance is my case, so much so that now, last week, the Supreme Court changed its understanding of this continues. How did it start? I was at my aunt's, right? The president remains in the Supreme Court until recently the parliamentarian is being sued. He lost his mandate, and the first instance has now been reversed.
Now, the guys are maintaining the privileged forum, which you don't want. You don't want the forum.
Privileged? No, it's not that I don't want it. I want due process. That's it. Even worse than me. These poor people alone are being sentenced to 14 to 7 years in prison. Dona Maria's forum is not the supreme one.
Well, it's a scam. Oh, go. I'm not saying it is, okay? What I'm saying is that the charge is a coup d'etat. There it is.
No. That's not the only accusation, is it? Coup attempt?
State, almost the same thing.
Violent abolition of the democratic rule of law, which is violence, and
I get you.
what is a
Violence is you. Get there, blow it.
all what?
I can even do evil to you, a broomstick, now to carry out a coup d'etat.
With broomstick change you?
You have to have an organization. You have to be organized with press forces.
Armed forces combined with...
This businessman in 64 was church, and 64 was OAB also on that side because no one wanted that president here anymore, okay? And that's how it is. The people faced the bar and the blow itself. People talk about coups, right? But those who decided 64 were not the military. The governors of Sao Paulo, Rio, Minas Gerais, basically they do, and then there was an agreement that a long time later there would be elections. So what? Those who were in the Castelo Branco government with Silva did not accept it. Then you can discuss this subject there, yeah. And Brazil followed. Now, you had a lot more freedom back then than you do today.
No, calm down. I wouldn't have been possible at that time. Like OAI 5 wouldn't have allowed us to have an open conversation like that, for example.
There was censorship in the press, let's not deny that. But wasn't that all this censorship as it exists today?
I don't know why. Since I haven't lived, I have no idea. You know what it is? It's hard.
Because it always worked to hunt parliamentarians.
Studying is different from living, so now me?
When I arrived in Brasilia in 1991, I had contact with old gods in politics. Paulo Maluf, Ulysses Guimarães, a lot of old god people there. And then people talked to people, ahem. Lists and revocations were often made by the House table.
Of the deputies back then, the guys were still there.
I had one. There was abuse. No one will say that there was no abuse.
When you got there in 91 military, how did the guys treat you?
Well, there were dozens of amnesties back then, right? Is it? They saw me as a new captain there. Oops, here. So what? Many of my outbursts were at that moment. At that time, I didn't have that. It wasn't here. It didn't even have a TV camera. So what you said was, at most, in Guardado, in Sonora, but nothing beyond that. And the Dick sang there. A lot has changed. You can. When I was a kid, I had played football in the city. It was hit. It was flying in the neck. That's practically over. I'm just changing, and politics was also more, but much more forceful.
I got it. Well, yeah, let's talk a little about the tar thing. It's, at least for now, ineligible, because I've heard you talking about what a bitch. That's kind of fragile. Maybe I'll be able to come back for the 2026 elections or something like that. Yeah, but basically what made you ineligible was showing Inquiry 3 and 61 to the ambassadors, right? Basically.
First thing, how did this survey appear when the elections on Sunday and the 18th were over? Second tunnel, I won everything. A paper arrived at the TSE saying that there had been fraud in 1818, okay? The president was Rosa Weber. He immediately took action. And the following week, in the second round, an inquiry 1361 was opened, and he began to investigate. See.
What happened to you?
3 weird things there. Testimony, okay? Let's go. I learned of this inquiry on 21. When in 21, I was there processing the pickle for the printed vote in Congress, okay? And someone had an idea of the deputies, discovered if the inquiry that I didn't know about him, right? And they decided to ask for APF. Then, unanimously, the parliamentarians of that committee to amend the concession asked, and
So what can I do?
to see what was uneasy.
To be able to make a decision.
And to make the vote more comprehensive.
Printed is good. Okay.
All right. Iotse, then this PF delegate forwarded the request, and the deputy who made the request, who was the rapporteur, was Felipe Barros from Paraná. And he was careful, an excellent parliamentarian, very careful. He even made sure that if you have any part of the inquiry that is classified, you don't send that part to us. Only it was ostensible. The delegate spoke, everything is obvious. He forwarded it to him, and then he distributed the parliamentarian. I became aware and went to see that thing there, you fall back. Yeah, well, 2 months before the meeting with ambassadors, Minister Fachin was president of TSE. He met with ambassadors and talked about the electoral system, which was secure, etc. As soon as OTSE announces the result, their respective heads of state should recognize the winner. You all right? Right when I saw that. And this foreign policy is private to the president. He could invite one to drink 11 Coca-Colas, a snack, have a party there, right? All right? But take care of any other business, not even the president's private business. I saw that and decided to invite him and showed the survey 3 in 1.
That's what killed you. Showing the inquiry, wasn't it?
So much so that the next day, this investigation was classified as confidential.
The fact is that the entire federal police investigation is in principle confidential.
Oh, there are some that are pretty confidential, right? Like, I can't or get any inquiry in the federal police. There's a whole process. You have to go to the police.
All the surveys I answered were all leaked, okay?
Everybody.
Everybody. Here's the one. Since it was classified as confidential, I can't talk to you here. Now, what's in it? Yeah. I'd like to. It was
Even so, no, we can't say I saw you talking. I think it's somewhere. I think it was at Leo Diaz that this investigation became confidential.
It's he?
And it was after the meeting.
And then let's not talk about what's in it then, yeah.
That was done. It was alive, right? But
That's because it wasn't too hard to figure out what's in it. I just did some research and figured it out quickly. So, I don't know, you who are at home and want to know, it's very easy to just search there for Inquiry 3001 and you find out something fun and we don't need it. But,
if I speak here, it is a.
guys, there's no need to complicate this.
There's an immense amount of complication. We don't have the freedom of speech. They're accusing me of lying, and now I must defend myself. When I attempt to reveal the problem source, I'm unable to. I know that although my lawyers asked for this investigation, cover by cover, and for his confidentiality classification to be overturned, that's the problem. That's where it originates now. If you take it, it has to see you take the PFE investigation, then there too, Gonet, who agreed with everything, even added more things. The scam started on 07/29/2021. It's the day of the live. And what does APF say about me? I spread misinformation. Oh, what I disclosed was an inquiry, and because this inquiry is open to this day, it has not been closed. So, when I spoke to the ambassadors the next day, the delegate was removed from the investigation, another was placed. Our TSE minister, provoked, did not order the APF to investigate and punish the APF delegate, responded that he had no punishment for investigation, he had no classification. The TSE minister was also sealed. He ordered the Chamber of Deputies to take action against Deputy Felipe Barros from Paraná, and the Chamber's response is that the investigation was overt. So much so that Felipe Barros' care was shown when requesting the investigation, and there was something that could not be revealed. The answer was no. The investigation is open to this day.
What's up? What's up? Now, the strategy is to go after that decision. It does. Well, is there any way?
It's really challenging for you to discuss during tests, isn't it? My play isn't because he's my lawyer. His piece about the PF investigation is something impeccable. So much so that you don't see the press getting down on it. Some even defend us, others go a little slower because they don't have it. There is no reason why, for example, our defense relied on case law when talking about plea bargains. A plea bargain has to. Spontaneity is true and proof. I can't speak. I gave the flower 10,000 reais. Oh, that's not worth it. So when you talk about spontaneity, you see something very important. Minister Alexandre de Moraes released some requats of the entire direction awarded by Lei Aham. It begins to be filmed in its qualification.
Shall I reveal my name?
I'm your name, address, and everything. And the filming ends. The lawyers take notice to sign the pieces uncut, and we ask uncut because you see in the leaked audio of CID that he spoke to someone. He said, there's no point in me telling the truth that they don't want. They say, look, your driving is very good. Tell the truth. It's not like that. All the time driving, and you will know who is with the truth or not when you have it. This plea bargain from qualifying until the completion of all 11 moments is not for another all 11 moments. So you expose actually now why they want to run to try to hide this from there.
I think they want to run to keep you out of 2026 if...
I should. If I should, do you think I'd be here talking to you? I know you. You weren't going to make it easy for me. You weren't going to wipe me.
I won't relieve, will I?
That I'm explaining to you here what happened. I explained roughly what happened. Lawyers are a technical issue. As Paulo's lawyer was just now in OS Filtro talking about these more technical issues, that nowadays the class of lawyers is completely discredited and is losing its value. But why should I hire a good lawyer if the decision does not depend on that lawyer? Depends on who has friends somewhere out there. So this all adds up to give us strength. How am I going to face Sunday 10 in the morning when there will be a crowd? I don't know how much. I hope it goes to 1,000. I hope I appeal until they show up because it's not my future.
It's a little yours, yes, Bolsonaro. Amnesty helps.
No, but don't just look at the amnesty process. Back there had nothing to do with me.
I know, but it is, but later.
Help later, then, after the PFIPF report, put it in January. I told myself, why did you put it in? When I asked you, it was the 8th. If it was January 15th, it was March 30th. Wow, the president was Lula. Ahem, it wasn't me. He had everything. All the commanders of the armed forces with him. Everyone with him, everything famous. You see Minister Jose Musi himself of defense. He said, this is not a coup d'etat. Rio de Janeiro, you catch others talking too. Even Michel Temer said something along these lines too. A coup d'etat. No, that's not how it's done with the poor, with a Bible under their arm, the Brazilian flag and praying, and that's not it. That's the deal for.
What do you think they're swelling up so chasing you since it's going to be, this is 8AA's idea?
A long time ago, the left realized and began to appear a new force in Brazil. The right started AA. Stop being a jelly and take shape, okay? They don't call it radicals. It is to be radical, to speak and respect God, homeland, family, freedom. When until?
It doesn't start too radical, no. But every radical starts there, okay? Then the guys get kind of fucked up. I don't know, man, but okay, go on, go on.
When people say we are radicals, what have we made of radicalism? What is the flag of the radicals? There is no extreme right. What is the extreme right? It's to try to qualify.
But he's there. At the end, we talked a little about ineligibility. We'll be back in a little while if that's the case. But man, when the 2022 DA results came out, did you narrowly miss? I think it's 2,000 votes. The difference is something like that, right? It's ours.
It sure is a shitty feeling. Damn, I lost. I don't know what that is. It crosses my mind to play on the 4 lines and do something. How come you don't even remember? You were talking well. Dilma came to think.
In something I want to criminalize freedom of speech, and him, I hope it doesn't start criminalizing freedom of thought.
Okay.
What are you thinking about me?
I don't know, I guess. I am. I hope you're telling the truth. That's what I'm thinking here, okay?
All right, you can see something incredibly important. It's even related to the topics discussed.
And that you're inedible too?
Pretty bad taste, huh? Go. Notice why I talked to military commanders about constitutional provisions. City defense asking why this craziness when the elections are over. A little before it was shown, the video was shown later, right? The video would be. The coup meeting has about 40 people with a sign in front of it. Wow, the coup meeting? What popcorn is this? Prepare a coup with 40 people with a sign in front. At one point I said, look, there's no point in us having 70% on the streets and appearing at 49 in the TSC. Coincidence? Just coincidence. The election is over. There's the lawyer, all right, of course. No one was satisfied, right? Because of course I raced crowds. Sao Paulo here, some like 300,000 motorcycles with us here, the evangelicals. 80% support with us. I've never had anything rare. Catholic fathers. On my end, the farm was closed with me.
But still, what he called the guys he hated.
No, we're going to get there, okay? We had 20 million people who received Bolsa Familia, on average 190. With fiscal responsibility, we go to at least 600. We take water to the northeast, okay? We created PIX in November 20th, in the middle of the pandemic.
Regarding PIX, it was actually the central bank and it has been doing it since
1016, not to study. Another thing is man studied and the moon since when? Since when man wanted the moon? But
Hey, the PIX you?
Do you want to take PIX away from my government?
No. Only that.
The study of PIX started with Temer?
It began.
Because I'm not going to be all right, okay? Fear was not the reason it started. So why did it evolve during my government?
Do you want to make it faster?
Look at the coincidence. The pandemic made us pay emergency aid, okay? Paying to 68 million people, it gave 50 billion a month. And when the time came to
Kill many people, right? Yes.
put an end to this emergency that we can't stand, left. There were around 40,000 people left who had a bank account but didn't go to the bank to move, okay? Because I had to pay something. I had a fee, or I didn't get enough, or I lived off selling things around and taking them home.
Is it like selling a homemade cake?
There's water on the signal, okay? So what? So you solved it. If Paulo Guedes isn't even me, right? And who was? Who works yours? Those who work are the ministers. It's Paulo Guedes. It wasn't even the central bank that chose Roberto, because the central bank was Paulo Guedes, okay? Then came Kits in November 2020 without any fee. Some people back there wanted to tax me. I started speaking once in another language, right? I'm a polite guy here on the microphone. Every great relationship starts with a kiss. There's no rate. It's 0.01 today, 0 tomorrow. I don't know. It'll be back soon, ACPMF.
Hey, CPMF.
Especially. This pig scolding that appeared. Nicholas, who is made a great little video there that showed the truth, and he didn't say he was going to be taxed. And people still spoke, accused him, saying that he had accused him that he was going to be taxed, but me.
I think the guys that about Nicholas' video, what I think is that it's tried to disqualify his video in a way that's not like that.
Isn't that right?
Wrong angle is not true. If you want to disqualify, you have to tell the truth, right? Disqualify.
Well, so what? What happened there? When the Federal Revenue Service issues a normative motion, the idea is to monitor. Since I talked about kisses, great love, monitoring, no one sends pink to anyone. Don't you want a date?
All right.
So what had Lula already seen? You give it a shot, you'll see. PIX moves around 100 billion reads per day. That is 200 million movements per day. When he saw that, he must have thought, right? If you think so, huh? But now?
Hold on, let's go.
What do the people from Haddad's economic team think, right? He likes Haddad and he doesn't really like taxing, right? Easiest thing for him to get money. Taxing, you must have thought, look, ACPM.
F, do you like the memes the guys made about Haddad?
I am.
Even you like a joke?
I suggested some memes. I don't know if people offend me. I suggested them, right?
But he's going there, huh? And when he saw all that money from...
Pitch that I suggested there, I don't know what he did, would tax even his wins.
Got it, okay?
Well, you understand? So when did he see that? 0.38, if you put 0.20, 100 billion a day, that's 200 million, that's 6 billion a month, that's 72 billion a year. He, in my opinion, is misjudging him. Whoa. Prepare the ground and start with this monitoring as well. Investigating the lives of whoever he wants. Yeah, he came here last week.
Passed and said something else.
Another thing, you could also start charging income tax according to total income. How would you know? You want a helper, you want a bricklayer, for example, you buy materials to put in my house and you are moving money for yourself? No, a part that I gave you stays with you. So there was this space, this bare wire out there. You can't be like this. How many times have I said, I'm not an economist? It's very clear. The one who was Mahava was Paulo Guedes there. Every 100 piruata that I gave Paulo Guedes, you were one of mine. And even so, piruata is just the two of us to avoid a guy listening here and leaking bullshit around that really the one who understands is he can do PG, can it or not? The Ipiranga post, as I call it, gives, doesn't give, okay? So in my understanding, it was an idea to prepare something darker against the population. That was aborted. And Nicholas's video helped a lot with this issue. He had one, I tell him, 11 lucky stroke. With all due respect, no one expected there 3,000 of them.
Bots, too, with all due respect, because more than the Brazilian population, po.
If I think I watched the video 23 times. You.
No, but it's a lot. Is it like 3,000 viruses? It's a lot, but...
Other than that, it went out of Brazil for sure. It's good. Must.
Heavy.
The kid is well liked around here. Nicholas is the level. Well liked, huh? A 28-year-old, I've been that age too. You have to stay.
A little older, there's no Bolsonaro because, I saw it. Why am I saying this? No, I'm saying that. You can. Not to diminish anyone, not to put yourself in the position of diminishing either. But I was recently hearing some talk that they wanted to lower the age to become president. Everything else.
Deputy Elos Biondini on the Minas side.
Yeah, but was it good? It is. I think it's very important for a guy to have a repertoire of experiences.
Life doesn't work, does it? I remember my 30 years old. It was one.
A piece of shit. With all due respect, 10 years ago, I was a lot bigger piece of shit than I am today, man.
And there is nothing like age, especially because it would decrease for president and senator from 35 to 30 if a senator can. The senator can't even think, especially because it wasn't going to pass the Senate that the old senator who was coming for re-election was going to.
I wanted more competition.
Increasing the competition, there wasn't going to happen, right? It's true, it didn't move forward. But sometimes, some young people, right, think about being president of the republic like Gustavo Lima.
Yes, Gustavo.
Lima, a great professional businessman. Okay, he has popularity throughout Brazil and has everything to run and perform well at the polls. Everything. And what I see in him too is that I talk very little to him. He wants to fix it. Oh, I'll take care of it. Is that right?
There is a desire to gain popularity. Why did you want to become president, for example?
I came to believe. I lost patience with the camera. I'm going to mind my own business, and that's where I'm headed.
Trying to be
president was in November 2014. In fact, I have a video on YouTube accidentally, right? I was in the military crisis in Resende. The kids were going to graduate in November for the first time. They set me free, didn't they? That usually I was watched, had at least 2 officers on my side to drive. Why?
A lot of change.
Dude, no, it's not alteration. Maybe it's overzealous, isn't it? Okay? And then I appeared in the region over the Alambaras River Bridge. And the kids were waiting for that moment to enter the courtyard, right? To graduate, albeit from Resende, right, man? And then I arrived. It's worth it for you to put this video on YouTube, right? Okay? You put the military camera, November Bolsonaro, cadet. I told the kids I'm running for president in 4 years. Then a lot can happen until you get in the way. And the kids on graduation day can do anything. It's forming part of something, okay? They called me the leader, clapping, etc. Oh, all right. He was there and I was a candidate. I don't know what went through my head. When Dilma was re-elected, I said, my God in heaven, what will happen in this Brazil?
I was already with Michelle?
I was. I married her in 2008 if I didn't.
Wrong. Okay, what's up, you?
She exchanged it here and gave it to me.
It's not, huh? And you exchanged those ideas with her. I imagine bitch there.
I said something to her. Feeling she didn't believe. Oh, no?
Believe better than what?
He didn't like it because I started AA. Instead of coming back on Thursday night, I was coming back on Friday from Brazil trips. My first trip was in Maracapuru, Amazonas. I imagine you arriving on a boat alone in Maracapuru. Look at the airport, look at Porto, there are 200 people. And I'm thinking here, what I'm doing here, and the gang from Porto, what is this crazy guy doing here? I was there, we went to the church staircase, had a chat, and I started touring Brazil. I understand it's about traveling around Brazil, Then, along the way, one appeared, another person named Alex Cheratu, who started helping me and said, when you come to Fortaleza, we'll make a big move at the airport. When I arrived at the airport, there were more than 1,000 people there, and it started gaining momentum.
And it started going on TV, and it continued.
TVADV that I was going to was a program.
Complicated, not the guys?
Family cases, for example.
Yeah, but you've been getting a supplied face, and that's important.
That LGBT agenda was very ahem. I really wouldn't say what I said in the past. The service is different these days, okay? The LGBT agenda enhances these issues, right? And I grew up.
Huh? And it's part of how people feel about you today, for both good and bad.
It has to do with this period of you becoming the reference figure on the right.
The issue of the LGBT agenda, what is the position today? We see that a left-wing agenda and gender ideology, I arrive. There's a group there, I hope 11. Moment, a climate, right? And I ask you this, what is the heritage of all of you? There's a guy who doesn't have anything. There's no old beetle on him. So I say the heritage of all of you is your children, whether with Joãozinho today or Joãozão tomorrow. That Mariazinha today being Dona Maria tomorrow, and a president who has a decree called PNDH from 2009, which is from Lula, talks about LGBT agendas, 180 items. Among them, the deconstruction of ethnomotivity is stimulated since the age of 56, first year of elementary school. Show these questions. You can show by 16-year-old to 56-year-old kids. It has no place. You are going to vote for a guy who is encouraging your son to be different in the future against his will, brings the people to our side, wants to see the people from the Northeast, also according to the climate, etc. São Paulo is the city with the most Northeastern residents in Brazil. And why are they fleeing there? Because you don't have a chance. You don't see an avalanche of Paulistas. There is in Pernambuco, for example. It's the opposite. But wait a minute, it's supposed to be the best place in the world that OPT has been running there for 20 years. The problem is there. You don't see it in youth. There are no left-wing leaders out there. On our side, you see a lot. It's not just Nicholas, it's a bunch.
Do you think any of them have the strength? Let's think about it assuming you don't. And so I'm not asking you to nominate anyone, but
the guys have the strength to fight head on if they don't have you in 2026, because Lula remembers that at 18 without him, no one could fight head on, right? Without you. Can the guys hit it head on? Would you say, did you ever think of that? Because there are some things.
Considering another election, these young ones are vigilant, okay? Now you can compete in some and possibly win. When some say, whom? They are people who are in the executive, they are in the Senate, okay? There is already a certain maturity. Others are learning, even what I'm going through, that they talk to me a lot. They are maturing. They are seeing what the power game is like. It's gross. I didn't chase anybody. Some beat me up because I didn't chase anybody. Today, I am persecuted by everything. The jewelry issue just fell through here.
let's discuss jewelry briefly.
State it clearly. Where is it really?
You state, then act.
Pull it out. Where is it? You're in possession. Oh, well, it's here. The TCU decision last week, huh? It was already in the law. Pacater interprets it as he sees fit. Now the OTCU resolved it.
Well, basically what was going on is they were accusing you of...
Pickup and jewelry. Although all the jewelry that they asked me, I delivered all last February 19th now. OTCU decided that the very personal gifts, i.e. watch, pens, necklaces received during the mandate belongs to the respective former presidents. OTCU considers that these gifts, regardless of their values, do not need to be incorporated into the public heritage of the Union. It ended up being a jeweler. Could be diverted. Some gift could. Do you think that when I go on a trip outside Brazil and in the Arab world, I like the people they did, especially agriculture? It opened the doors for him. They wanted 111, food guarantee, food security, and needed to open trade with Brazil. Teresa Cristina played this brilliant role out there, and this work was done. So when you're going to give a gift, it doesn't cost anything. Want to see something on one of my wife's trips? I am unsure about the Emirati country and its significance. So what? She started her journey with 2,000 USD I could give her. Many people laugh talking about laughter. You now have 12,000 BRL, right? The first lady, huh?
Oh, I'll guess that one. She arrived at a store, went to buy a stop, it cost 1,000 USD. She said, well, it's a bit expensive, and then a guy came and said, you can't.
Take whatever you want you're talking about. I told you the story here. Then a guy came up behind him and said, what do you want to buy? It's already paid.
They give gifts, right? Is that so? Really?
A present? Not gifts.
So now you got some fucking expensive gifts.
Yeah, look, what are you going to do with that? Ask the lawyer before petitioning there. Oh, that's right? Because there are some who are stuck there at Caixa Econômica. Yes, via for me and a commitment that I have. which is to get a piece of that I already promised there for the political kids, from the kids, right? They're in Minas Gerais, which we will auction and donate this money to Santa Casa there in Juiz de Fora.
I understand, buddy. So, can you share something with me?
That you learned for the same, that changed your life as president?
First, the election was a shock.
Come on. You got elected, man. When you got elected, what did you feel? Why am I asking you? This has a legend, and it is a legend, that when Trump was elected, he was with his guys there.
Initially, or
Second, in the first, and he also did not believe that he would be elected. And then, when he was elected, he was like this. So that's it, I am. A messenger from God it's a legend. I'm not saying that this happened, but then okay, so I understand. So this is my election. It's a message from God that I have to be. He's an agent of God on earth. That's a pyre. It looks like he fits on the train because he's kind of crazy. But what about you? What did you think when you...
Was he elected? Oh, he was an outlier, huh? Yeah, just like mine. He was breathing.
Indeed. In Trump's case, he unexpectedly rose to the presidency while being an MP, right? At least he stayed there for some time.
Trump is slightly older than me. He has another experience, a successful businessman or a negotiator. In his programs, there was even one focused on this issue. When you elected me, I thought, my God, what did I do to deserve the presidency?
You didn't just ask to be president yesterday.
I asked, but he put it there, and when he put it there, I am now asking him to help me carry the cross. We start with the tragedy in Brumadinho. Now, given the pattern of my ministers, when I called the minister, I'm already at the airport. I've already arrived in Brumadinho. I took action. We had the support of Israel. They already sent a fantastic team here, which did find bodies. On a computer program I had there, based on the satellite phone number, the time of impact, he calculated how far the body had gone. Israel found many bodies with this program there. We are eternally grateful to Israel, aren't we? And I got to the presidency, and that's where it started. I basically only had Paulo, Guedes, and Onyx.
What was the first thing you thought you couldn't do the way you wanted?
I really wanted Nana. This is at the beginning of the term. You've already seen that there is a problem, of course. So it's at the beginning of the term, heavyweight in the Senate chamber, a reserved meeting, right? No one else, 45 people, and it's more or less like this. Give me this or you don't govern. I believe this is how the business starts. What happened, I didn't negotiate. I thought I decided to do what I thought had to be done. It's not you choose. You can be an exceptional guy. I invite you. Don't you want to come? Paulo Guedes. You've never seen Paulo Guedes in politics. Yeah, you've never seen Tarcísio in politics, right? You've never seen Damares in politics. Some were like Teresa Cristina, okay? Astronaut Marcos Pontes was not. He is right in politics. He did an excellent job. There's a lot to say about him, right? Just like Juan Roma, there are a lot of names there that we can. Fantastic work. It was from Rogerio Marinho. It took water to the Northeast. I understand it was supposed to be finished in 2010. The work went to 12, 141, 6, and it didn't end. And when you pick up a work again, when everything is broken by the skin, by the scorching sun, the work is multiplicable, and it took water to the Northeast. Approximate numbers. No one criticizes me. Then, 12 days of pumping was equivalent to a year of kite car, okay? Even when we started throwing water, right? Water theft began. The people who take the mango with the mango blow, then the people who wanted to do it are negative. Let's put more pressure on the pump, okay? Just advise people not to be pumping 24 hours a day. That's all, okay? And that's how it was done. And it doesn't mean that there is a lack of water all the time. There is a season and there is rain there that you don't need so much. Now we take water there, he said. I really visited you. The business was going around. Damn, there was a lack of water for the people, right? And there was a little kite car mafia. You won't believe it. To simulate that, they delivered the water because there was a GPS there. That was proof that I would brake and put it on the motorcycles, do the route and come back. It's Brazil, po, then you have to go up. Yeah, there was all these issues. We put in ministers that worked, then some didn't work. That's okay, go there. They left, and I believe if it weren't for this quality of ministers, they wouldn't have overcome the pandemic. And it's not just a minister. You take a Pedro da Caixa, for example, who was massacred. Yes, in the final stretch, there is a false report of harassment, right? But he, for example, was one of the guys that Savings Bank gives you an absurd profit. Bank of Brazil. I put Caio, who is with Tarcísio now at Petrobras, who that year, Peso's biggest revenue was there. I understood, and he knew how to run that business there. Now, the big play on fuels was that 21, basically 22, right? With the war in Ukraine, 22, the price of fuel exploded all over the world. And here we were pulling out the people's hair. I don't want to know what's happening. Well, where is it? Because we still got it. It's not half an egg today. It's kind of
Egg today?
talk about the cool dream egg, okay? So like what, for example, you have to pass it in Congress. If I hadn't had Arthur Lira's unconditional support, I wouldn't have been able to reduce federal fuel taxes to zero. And we also put a ceiling on the ICMS for fuel. I've zeroed out my share We lose about 40 billion a year in projection. The governors were angry with me that some charged 34%. It went to 17 with an essential product. And not only that, we didn't put 17% phone. No, she was allergic and really pissed. I'll explain. We had 3 months of deflation because of this. We put it in the law that if more than 5% of ICMS collection was frustrated, people would pay the governor. Ask if any governor raised less. I raised more with Paulo Guedes. Given this, Paulo Guedes got excited and suggested doing some things wrong. Then we started seeing taxes zeroed out with the idea of importing many things with tractor tires, materials for energy generation. Yes, it's solar. Yes, it's truck tires. Paulo Guedes started reducing it by 30% OIPI of 4,000 products. He could have cut it down on the spot. I did it slowly. 3 stages next year in case I had 30 and 40 accomplishment, right? And he said that it would be Brazil's election re-industry project, which generally when the tax on something is reduced, right, the businessmen won't pay. Generally, the people are working for the bankers, for the businessmen. Or when we come to PICs, bankers stopped collecting a little more than 20 billion a year. There was no fee. I worked for a banker, didn't I? Yes, and that question was right. But I'll tell you something important here. I'm going to do an analysis with my government. Of course, I know my size close to Trump. Their GDP is 14 times bigger than ours. So
Yes, it has to happen. There are states there with the GDP of...
Brazil's economy is larger. So when he gave his speech on January 20th, there are 4 lines of economics, right? The first is deregulation. The sailor who was there with Paulo Guedes revoked more than 5,000 regulatory standards. So for those employees who do not feel very boss, they are happy, less chance of a fiscal problem. I came here, I'm here. Danny spoke about reducing bureaucracy on the government side. We transformed Brazil, the second most digital country in the world. Your phone is there, Eduardo. Identity. So putting together the document, then you can buy and sell a car here in Sao Paulo. Then you have a digital signature. That helps a lot. Trump's third line is to cut taxes, including for the super rich.
Reduce, even for them.
Super rich, he put it there. If you say that here, you have a shock, right?
But what here? What does it mean to reduce taxes for the super rich in Brazil? Hey, look.
Only he is. He's cutting back on spending. He spent on, for example, Awexa, right? There's a strange company there. They're $50 billion a year. The money didn't go to social works. Halfway through, it even helped Hamas here in Brazil. Are you coming to the conclusion where this money came from? From the looks of it, we're in for a surprise. I don't want to advance because I may be wrong. Here in Brazil, on this issue of reducing taxes, I told you just now about federal taxes, fuel taxes, etc. And his last line was energy shock. He said that I was going to explore. He ended the law, for example, which required me to have 11 quotas of electric cars there. Ahem, are you going to Fernando Noronha? It's just I went. A while ago I went.
It's been 2 weeks, I went in.
Fernando has an electric cart on the island, but it is recharged in a small thermoelectric plant that he has there.
Is there a fucking electric car today? No, but it is. But it's a thermoelectric.
Thermoelectric, this energy shock becomes even more expensive. That he said he was going to explore Indian reservations and policing air herein.
Brazil, if I'm not mistaken, it's just because it's hard.
Here in Brazil, for example, oil from the equatorial margin was being exploited with me? Or would you change the head of Ibama?
But we can't exploit clean energy with this.
With here in Brazil, come on. Energy you have, for example, they made Belo Monte in a stream, for God's sake. You go, for example, in Roraima, Cotingo River Valley. 12 kilometer by 600 drop, a river with a lot of water, but it's an indigenous reserve. You have to put it in. It's 11 hydroelectric with few works of art and would give to make maybe half of the Northeast. You have potential in Brazil, but this indigenous reserve, which is not to protect indigenous people, they were demarcated in the past to complicate our lives. If, for example, Alumano was born in 92, in an ordinance of the Minister of Justice in 92. In Brazil, for example, they made Belo Monte in a stream, for God's sake. You go to Roraima, Cotingo River Valley.
And whoever solves this calls the guys to talk to them.
No, you need parliament, huh? That's why I've been talking, right? Give me 5. 50% of the chamber and 50% of the Senate, which solved Brazil's problems. You can see I need a law, I couldn't pass it, to overturn another law that says that whoever unmarks, whoever repeals environmental decree is a law and not another presidential decree. With that, I would do Angra Bay. But Cancun, in one of the trips to the Middle East region, a guy offered me $1 billion to invest in Angra Bay, and I didn't know about this environmental decree. I mean, I knew it, but I didn't think it was too complex to unmark it. I couldn't, there was even a pandemic in the middle, among other things, right? If I had, I would have invested here. You go to Ilha Bay, Gran, you go to Jipoia Island, there is Dentista Beach next door. There you can have 11 hotels there with 500 rooms. You go to Sandri Island, a little smaller, 200 rooms, and there are dozens of islands. You have beaches, more beautiful things, but you can't do anything. For an environmental issue that is not preserved with a hotel there, you would pay the mission to the hotel owner to preserve the entire area, and he would do it there. Wow, it's complicated. So you, for example, have people who go to Cancun and can go to Angra Bay. The water is warmer there than outside. There are no sharks, there are no typhoons, there is nothing. And you have, like tourism, the easiest way for you to get money for your country, who put this in my head and said it, was Gilson. Who was our Minister of Tourism as soon as Gils took over what he did? Let's exempt here from Canadian, Japanese, Australian, and American viruses. Isim, I took a beating, so I didn't want it anymore, that there was no reciprocity. Do you think it was a plane full of Brazilians to Orlando? Some considered will stay there or won't, will stay. The American comes here to stay. Now the Lula government has just announced that it has revoked this. American visa waiver, yes, that is, we will have fewer thousands of Americans in Brazil and fewer millions of dollars here. Stupid measure. Lula only gets it right when he revokes something he did to remember the egg there. We talked about eggs here now. He talked about thick ones back there. I'm going to talk about eggs here now, right? Because this boom in eggs first had 11 peaks in the price of the dollar that went up there and came back. And then in an ordinance from the Minister of Agriculture. The ordinance mandated that eggs feature an expiration date stamp, posing a challenge for small farms with, say, 100,000 chickens or fewer. They now must plan for additional expenses, recruit more staff, and invest in ink for stamping expiration dates on eggs. Originally, it was intended for egg trucks and supermarkets, but it inadvertently aided large producers more. And honor a fantastic business in Brazil. I talk and pass. People give rent. Do you know how many eggs are produced per second in Brazil? 1,700 fucking eggs. When I had to talk to Putin, the beginning of 22, that I had to go there, it was on the verge of war. Guys, every time it's gonna be, okay? I negotiated with him fertilizer. In 30 days, the ships arrived here. And if the productivity of the water doesn't reach and down there, you have to have it. Everyone has to have it. Negotiate. If you negotiate with him, if you negotiate a little diesel, and he asked me for eggs, his population, I think it will make 14,001, a little more inhabitants. Well, if we open the market, there would be a shortage here. Within the price, it would explode. I told you, give me 6 months. Well, it was more because war broke out, and war is kind of a mistold thing out there. How did that war start? How did it start? I spent 3 years talking to him. The problem is Zelensky was a comedian, right? You see some around, don't you? There's someone who hits me all the time, right? Who owns the truth. DJ follow, but leave it alone, okay? And he did a campaign. If you see the videos of his campaign, he is playing piano. One of the videos that is playing cool piano, suddenly he knows a board. He stands on his back playing piano, then simulates something. He stands in front, crosses his arm, plays piano. It's very funny. It's very funny. And when he took over, I had no experience, and then someone abused his ear. Very cool, right? He joins NATO, and has a lot of rules. Armament, country solidarity with another engine thing there, and would allow you to put nuclear warheads on the border with Russia. 5 minutes from Moscow, you go back a little bit in time, 62. Bay of Pigs, where the Soviet Union wanted to put Uhum AAA missiles. A few minutes from the strategic landing of the United States, the American took out of there. Here was the same thing before him. Consolidate. If he took it and everyone thinks what they want. I had with Zelensky, and personally, in the beginning on the phone, he wanted the adhesion. The joy, the protest, Brazil can obviously do one thing. I was really pleasant company, right?
And Brazil was able to join the boycott, right?
Can you send it? I asked him. I'm sorry, I know your situation. Now it will resolve the matter if Russia stops supplying us with fertilizers and we have what we import outside the Madeira River. You can't take it away because it's an indigenous reserve. Look what country is this? I even praise Rebel Hall. Handling these matters well, someone went behind B's computer. He is incredible. Aldo Rebelo is now in the MDB. When I talk to him, he has the virtue of being from Palmeiras. He knows about the Amazon, and trust me, he doesn't have it.
Shame on you to say that in person, right?
Do you know these questions there? I'm a pig, Tite. Well, they left him. He was outside Beira Fada. They let him in. Now it gets complicated there.
All right, we were discussing Aldo Rebelo.
So this issue of the war started there. You've been through that, and after now I haven't.
I know, but now Putin already wants access to the sea now.
When there's a war, whoever loses gets paid. That's the rule. There's no point in you talking. I don't want it like that. It's not fair for guys to lose. I don't know how many thousands and thousands and thousands of lives. The young population there from Ukraine has left, part of Russia too. Now there is a very rich area and minerals like we have there in Roraima, okay? We have a periodic table in Roraima, is the same thing. And in that contract there, in that negotiated settlement,
Rare earths.
what do they call it, huh? Even the rare, prapra chip, etc. So all these issues, people are now keeping an eye on this whole negotiation. Ukraine can open exploration to American company. An American company, there is a guarantee of Russian non-invasion of new return, a guarantee invasion. Now Russia wants something in this war because what also happened is that for Russia to be able to make its ships, right? The warships go all over the world. It has to be in the south, there, in the Crimea region, which was always with the misses there. It gets complicated. Got it. The rules of the game are there. No one will invade. I won't fight you if I don't want to take something from you.
But hey, it's your relationship, right? The relationship when the president with Russia was similar to China.
Look, because this way you can say that they are more or less on the same or closer political spectrum.
Then the one on this side, since you brought up the subject, there you go. Look, I didn't close trade with any country. I didn't negotiate with everyone. Business here is professional. China is now our largest trading partner. Now, this is bad for us because you have a big trading partner. You have to diversify this market, okay? Imagine China building the silo if it starts storing food for a few years. She dictates the price tomorrow of ours, of our soybeans. Here, for example, we have no bells. Right here. It was a politician I had been talking to, Teresa Cristina. How do you do that from there? How to finance agricultural people to have this and keep it?
To owe more control of the price.
It's on me. The field was making horrors, especially with exports, and it really has to make money. I want that the more my policy follows equality, I want to top everyone rich and not bottom like the left preaches the time of dividing. You will arrive 1 hour and you won't have anything to share anymore. Everyone will be in misery here. So that's our policy.
He even discussed China.
From China it is. And a figure of Eduardo Bolsonaro enters the parade. Eduardo Bolsonaro stops.
How many languages does Eduardo Bolsonaro speak?
The language in Spanish is already dominating quite the Arab?
Important Arab.
It's important and it runs. The whole world likes it.
From the bottom?
I'm uncertain of what he inherited from the family, but it wasn't from me, right? He's a remarkable child. Currently, he's residing in the US and has good connections with the Trump family. Previously, I considered him for an ambassadorship, ensuring his diligence. Oh, burger fryer indeed. He spent a year on exchange in the States frying burgers, while he also spent 6 months in Bariloche perfecting his Spanish. And having for the Arab world now, and already drags and speaks very well, and has the ability to make friends. One thing is for you to call the head of state here. The other is for you together. We're going to have coffee next week. Have a coffee. This will be resolved with me. For example, Trump wanted to tax ties. I know my place. Some thought I had to treat Trump as an equal, as Lula just said this week. Keep it down to me. That's a drunk thing, right? Keep it down to me. I don't even understand drunk thing, right? He said he was going to end the war with Russia, with Ukraine, drinking beer. So he has this freedom. You see Trump and invited few people to the inauguration, have an event there that was only called campaign donors, and the donor who started with $5 million. So he was invited. He didn't donate anything. Eduardo didn't donate anything. He was invited by his family. You were invited. I was invited too. We invited 4 heads of state. The only one who was nobody was me, but he was invited. He missed me, so much so that at CPAC now, there were 3,000 people there.
You can travel now, right?
I'm nothing, and Helsin can't travel yet. In 2018, Lula had been convicted in 2 instances, and the Supreme Court authorized him to travel to Ethiopia, which had 2 couples, right? Then Lula was going to participate in 11. It is Fighting Corruption Head-On, 2018. The other panel was Africa United, with Brazil to eradicate hunger by 2025. Coincidentally, 2025 now. I think it will end the hunger there. You see that this story of fighting hunger is to win votes. Oh, it talks about the poor, but it doesn't solve anything to the biggest social project you can have. We started doing it with Paulo Guedes, reducing the tax burden. Everyone wins from that. And Bolsa Familia with me, you could get a job, you would earn more than 200 BRL.
But not like that. It's not possible that there's nothing that's working in the government right now, man.
I don't know.
Huh? What do you think of going into everything? Everything has... The Bolsonaro government had the spending ceiling as its metagame, and...
Right now, is it?
There's the fiscal framework resembling another store.
Oh, did Lula end the spending ceiling during the transition? Yeah, it was tough for you as president, messing with the spending cap. But thanks to that, right, that I complained. I'm not going to deny that I complained because the politician wants to spend. And when I put in Paulo Guedes, I will always talk to the minister. The most important word you can say to me is no. If it's to be a pain in the ass and talk like that, you'll do it.
Shit, it will.
Shit will give shit that I don't see. Fuck, it's no use. I'll do you try in a few days. It's not because I'm president. I know everything. Every once in a while I have a boy. You're not a councilman. The guy's already stuffed his chest. He knows everything. Yes. So this issue of the spending cap. It meant that, for example, at the beginning, at the end of our first year, the Selic rate was 2%. And it wasn't in the pen, it was in the economy. And that does what? What about 2%? People who have money saved somewhere that is investing today are the opposite. You are paying 3 of the Selic rate. He sees, wow, I'm going to risk a business. There's going to be a way out. I'm not going. So today, If someone wins the Mega Sena, will they buy a farm? Won't you? The government has just allocated 7,000 to the MST. Will it change the budget? Does it give 7,000 to OMST? Got it.
What?
What AMC produces nothing. Oh, don't produce. Look, family farming is one thing. It's messing around.
Another, okay, oh, it's just for us, so we can kill this talk here, because I wanted to exchange an idea with you. More about...
You, but so, Michelle President, it's not a stop because I've seen here there's a you. You look like you were wanting her to come as Senator of the Look Me.
I never launched Michelle, President, and neither is Flavio, I know. I was on a CNN show. Then someone already asked, right?
Yeah, these things happen.
Huh? Say her name. Say the name she gave Kiro, said Callado, said Zima, said Michelle. I talked a little about each.
Yes, Michelle. She's good. People like her. There's going to be a bunch of guys who like her.
Similar to Gustavo Lima's popularity in your region.
Okay?
People like Gustavo Lima, so if you don't have a certain sympathy, there's no point in being...
Good candidate.
Total, okay. People like Michelle, she's an evangelical woman, speaks well, has a nice husband.
All right.
So I have a survey in Paraná about 40 days ago that put her a little ahead of Lula, although beating Lula nowadays doesn't suit me. It doesn't suit anyone else, right?
Oh, these surveys hitting and drunk is also for...
Beating and drunk, all right? So there's this side here. But the idea is that she will become a candidate for the Senate. It's Eduardo for Sao Paulo, it's Flavio for Rio. It's the case that he is a councilor after 8 terms. 7 comes to federal, it's 0, it's 04. Who is there in Modal de Camborio, which has my name? Aham. The federal government is also doing well with the councilor stepping on the ball. The animal catches it, and Laura is not a candidate for anything. Now they all have an A.
Laura is 14?
You just turned 14, you can't stop it.
Easy there.
You were happy to say plus 13. Don't you say plus 13, bitch.
Yeah, but it's okay. Come on, yeah, but then when we go, if we stop to think about an I've already seen you talking, and I'm not going to bother you about what it is. Well, there's no successor. It's me.
But man, it's just...
Don't you?
No one lives for those who lack it.
Why am I ineligible? Because I met with ambassadors. They thought it was a prank in my underwear. They took a box of money from my apartment, embezzlement from a company. Oh, for God's sake. When?
I'll tell you.
He wanted to fuck me. Jewelry business. He was stealing jewelry. You just defended the deal. It was in the law. That's it.
Final. But what I meant by the successor was not even for now. Why? Take Lula, for example. The left is if Lula is missing. There's no one else. There's no one like that if...
Good thing, huh? The person, a successor?
You don't lack it, but you need to have it for the political game. Do you agree? If it's missing, you need a strong name like that. Maybe on the right, there's a little one. There's more names because, I don't know, there's even more people, more voices. And I think the right knows how to use the internet better. That means there's more.
Smarter person? No, but it's true. What's up? It does.
These guys, but the left lacks it.
Both you can, but...
Do you need a successor?
No, all right. Is that good? It is.
He then formed his children by...
Example, no, it's not just my children. I can cite several there for you here, several there for you, all over Brazil, there in Amazonas legal, okay? Even Rio Grande do Sul has been having problems that we are going to present to the Senate. It has good names. It has 34 good names. What is the criterion?
What's your opinion on the movement's name?
Being called Bolsonarism, man.
I never sympathize with it, no.
Not a bit.
Fucking ego, but you've never seen me say that, okay? I'm kind of on my own, right?
It has a strong name, doesn't it?
Does anyone speak Brazilista now, Lulista? The person doesn't speak because,
There are the Lulistas. But Bolsonarism is kind of confused with the right-wing movement in Brazil.
Confusing? Not me. I don't enhance it from there. He's a conservative. It's not about not personalizing and wanting to inflate the ego, nothing. Get into my mind, let it be.
I won't even go with the chip.
Not with the chip is another story. You look very good. You're not the first. Right in the program here, before starting, you asked several times, you have several times, do you want the phone or the same? No. You don't need it. Or you're kind of, I want it too.
I want to be screwed too.
What the fuck? There you go, the medal. A medal. Where is it? Back.
From Brazil especially, Bolsonaro Club, immortal, imbroxable, inedible.
You certainly deserve it.
I sure hope so.
Right, man.
But this side here, right? Well, yeah, it's cool, but what's up, Gaye? Let's think a little about in Brazil now. Brazil is now...
You stay. I suppose that one of the things I'm going to do, which has several things on your mind now, there's a bitch, I might be arrested, there's a bitch, I might not be able to, is to contest the election, and there's what's happening, in fact, under normal conditions. If you didn't have 2 problems, the first 2 problems, you were thinking about political platforms for 2026 and analyzing what's happening to Brazil now. Is there time, even with all these stops happening, to look at Brazil? Hey, look.
Only, I have or awaken the expectation of power. If I give up, here's the deal. We'll have two problems. I'll be weakened and you'll beat me up until you're tired of it.
That's right.
Okay, so let's wait a little longer. We see people complaining that you said, ahem, oh, you have to decide the name now? It doesn't have to be.
I don't think so now either. I'll let you.
Next year, leave next year. Let's see what happens ahead. What's happening to me is serving to mature everyone. Do you want this chair to be?
Get up to 28 years in prison on this charge that I have to prove that this is innocent? No, they have to prove that I'm guilty, which changes if the Supreme Court rules for exactly them to convict you. To give an example, look at this guy I don't want there. You saw the minister speaking, didn't you? We defeated Bolsonarism. That minister couldn't vote on anything about me. The other minister talking about Bolsonaro is closer to the devil than to God. He couldn't judge me. The other says we interfered, yes, but it was for the good of Brazil. He couldn't judge me as someone else. He filed a lawsuit against me, against the president's lawyer. You can't judge me there if you can judge me 3 or 4. If you take into account the law, but the law is not used to me, they will put on the agenda and speed up and play. I've heard they do. Listen to debated witnesses next week. 20 appear there. If you don't appear, didn't want to appear, and judge in 23 months, the series is that fair? What is meant in a democratic state under the rule of law is that it will respect due process of law. It's just that I always say, if I'm that bad, why don't I not follow due process? Because Lula was the first instance, and for me, it has changed now. Last week it changed, or this week it has changed now. In January, to be prosecuted, he was supposed to be in the first instance. All of a sudden, you're back here. What's the deal? That's justice. Now, they want me arrested or dead. I think it matters a lot more to them dead than the prisoner. I'll give you a headache, but I'll give you a headache both ways, man. Because you're dead, you'll get fed up here. Now, it's one thing to actually catch a sniper out there, is another stabbing. I actually received 11 stab wounds and had an attack on my person, the others on whom it had. Oh, he tried to kill Lula, kidnap Lula. Alckmin and Alexandra de Moraes. You're kidding, remember? At the beginning of the investigation, there was a 500 FS that did not kidnap Alexandra de Moraes, he remembers. Then, an FE lost a taxi. You couldn't do, I don't know what there, just joking or doing evidentiary fishing, which is prohibited here in Brazil, as the federal Supreme Court itself says. But for me, against me it works. Anything goes against me, it's worth running over. Anything, why don't they want it there? Why doesn't the system want me there? Because I'm not the person you manipulate. I imagine if I had died 18, President Haddad would have ended Brazil. He would have ended Brazil. I'm finishing now. Lula is only surviving in the economy, which had fat from my government. Tarcísio is hired for the next 10 years. 11 trillion real investments. People believed in us. Even with the pandemic, war, water crisis 2022, adding informality, the economy was running at full employment. Given the way we reduced bureaucracy, deregulated a lot of things, created the economic freedom law, which some may say, what is that? It was common for a guy to put a man or a woman there. He wanted to open a beauty salon or sell barbecue there, I don't know where, and he would apply for a permit. City Hall could not. He filed the request with us. If he didn't respond in 30 days, he could open his beauty salon or his little house there to sell cat barbecue. Okay, so I understand what often happens with human beings. He wants to command. He wants you to come here and beg for me. With me, it's different. How many times the businessman arrives, I don't know who will talk to me. I'll do everything. You didn't come here anymore, so I solved his case. We went to the no in the basics of the basics. We make it easy to get clearance to leave the plane. You may think, why go from the plane to jet ski 2, not to jet ski 2? In addition to zeroing jet ski import taxes, I hit Bolsonaro. Oh, you took the tax off Rico's jet ski for whoever's taking care of my jet ski back in town. Mambukaba's story is a humble person, and the new law gives the new. Tax reform allows governors to tax aircraft and vessels. I spoke to Claudio Castro in Rio. I spoke to Tarcísio here. I sent the message to Ratinho. I have freedom with him. I spoke to Jorginho Melo. The answer is, we're not going to tax it. But now it's taxed 3.75. Jessica that I have there in Mambucaba, I have to pay $6,000 per year for PVA. What am I going to do?
I pay a big PVA too.
To go by car now, he also taxed 3.75 aircraft. The aircraft costs 5,000 It's a lot of money to see the cost. And the argument per month, oh, the guy has a plane, he's rich. Those who have airplanes spray crops. Charge this guy, he'll pass on this price.
Of course it does.
This is our foremost proposal.
In my opinion, Paulo Guedes' social policy and helping the economy is reducing the tax burden.
Is there any way to get the super rich to invest the money? It is lowering the Selic rate.
Invest. If he has a guaranteed security, when you see us with the 2% Selic rate back there, the guy won't want to leave the money saved.
Because it's good, it won't yield.
1% a year won't. Okay? He invests, he does business, he moves the economy, he has the pleasure of employing more people. You can see when I arrived,
There was a proposal for a competition for 500 IBAMA vacancies. I'm not going to say what I said to the guy who took the proposal there, but to this day, I'm waiting for the contest. You will put 500 vacancies for these people to make the field hell, and most of them will make the field hell. You take a farmer or whatever. We reduced the number of fines in the field by more or less 80%. They didn't want the inspector here to mess around. There are the good ones, but there are also some people who are heavy ahem, so you have to make life easier for the guys. There was, if I'm not mistaken, in England, about 20 years ago, the economy was not moving forward because of the inspectors. People took power from the inspectors. The country is moving forward, so you have to make life easier. Who is producing nowadays? Who is producing a hero man? Because you take one, you take the people in the field, you take an interest rate. There it is, above 15%. Well, if one stumbles anyhow, it's a headache. So many are already preferring, oops, I'm going to invest in something else, or we're not going to invest. We're going to send the money out. You take it there, do the withdrawal. You don't have it in mind here, but I guarantee you since my elections that I lost here, in savings, it is rarely the month that had an increase. Everything is in the red, and those who apply in savings are usually the poor.
That's it.
these people are decapitalizing. What do you expect from this economy?
Less in front of the box, less popular houses downhill, and the trend, unfortunately, is to get worse. I'm not rooting for Brazil to get worse, to make people study to the right, no, but that's the trend. What's going on?
What are your thoughts on Milei?
You're an economist from a similar school to Paulo Gates, right? He had the advantage too. It was like a chicken with a sniper, his weird face, huh? With the motorcycle Serra in hand, and I was walking in Angra Bay during Carnival. You've already seen a lot of Argentine tourists, something you didn't have in the past. The peso appreciated, our money went down. Guys, come here, man. Have a barbecue of ours here.
There is an interesting experiment, because if it works, it strengthens the right, yes. And if it goes wrong.
All right.
Strengthens the left, huh?
Go back to Kirchner's class.
Oh, yeah.
Fernando's group.
I say this to South America, so if Malay's experiment works, Brazil will look at that, look there.
Me, the right one doesn't speak. It's the Brazilian, right?
The Brazilian is the Brazilian is the Brazilian.
Look, anywhere in Brazil I go, I had Vitória de Santo Antão 3 weeks ago.
What did you do there?
Gilson took me there.
Gone for cake in a car?
Cane, not in the middle. They're in the backlands of Pernambuco, near Pará.
What's the city name?
Victory of St. Anthony.
To the city.
City sound that climb in the sound car. I talked for 20 minutes. Let me have a cake, the simplest thing. There was one by Rafaela, without.
Cheating this cake, man, in morals like this from the heart, because I watch the videos and like this, I'll tell you my feeling. Damn, Bolsonaro went there to buy a cake with a sugarcane broth because he just wanted to eat a cake and sugarcane broth. So he's eating cake and cane broth. A guy comes, it's with a cell phone, already recording now. Bolsonaro, what do you think of Alexandre de Moraes? Damn, I was eating a cake and an actor's broth.
You know things I don't answer, right? I can't, right? But this feeling I could not stop. But I think politically, you have to do this work. You feel the people, you feel the breath of the people on top of you. Ask a question. I was there in Alagoas. Let's do the mega cena in points of stones, okay? 29. From there, I enter the midst. Tadinho, talk to the guys. How are you there? How is tourist revenue? And there is primary information about what is happening, and the guy feels prestigious. There is nothing better than one person feeling well treated and another, the guy knows if he is doing it spontaneously or not. There was a candidate out there, I won't mention his name, a long time ago. Then a guy told me I was in a camera soup trying to imitate me and he took 50 bites of the cake and couldn't get it right. Then I said, take the guy to an ice cream shop. Yeah. Fuck, is it?
Well, solve that problem.
So I'm not going to talk here, isn't this guy? I'm not talking.
I got it. Well, at the beginning of our conversation, when we were talking about freedom of expression and everything else, yes, we are. It's because I'm going to ask you, a stop that I saw, that monarch, that he spoke like this. Well, I wanted Google to ask him this here. What was it, man? Do you think 11 Nova Constituent is a valid path, or doesn't it already pass in space?
Aren't you in the mood for no?
There's none.
It doesn't have zero.
But what do you think? You.
He made a situation of hitting rock bottom. I think the inflection point, for example, is my tire, right? It is 111 massive participation in Copacabana. He has to demonstrate strength. He does not have to demonstrate the powers, that the people are not satisfied with them. It's obvious that by feeling people there are people who will be bothered. My objective when he talks about forming a strong Senate is not to persecute anyone. He has never opened a case against anyone 4 years ago. It is to show that a strong Senate, if necessary, to say, oops, oh animal, an insured person who crossed the limit, that is the intention, I understand. And I believe that the people of Rio, especially the periphery here too, the neighboring states, will give us this strength there that is not for me, the flower for me. I'd be on the other side. calm, no problem. Maybe rich. And that's not how I say rich. When a PIX campaign was carried out, for the fines I had, I didn't campaign. The parliamentarians people did. They put 17 minutes into my account. But I wanted hope. Thanks to that, it wasn't even a fine. The fines were later enjoyed, right? I'm able to afford lawyers. Thank God I wouldn't be able to afford lawyers. And it's expensive. You take the lawyer's profile, I won't tell you the price, right? But expensive what? It's not enough to be a good lawyer, super smart. He has to have entries out there. He has to talk.
Yeah, I got it. That's right. True it is. I miss, man, the days back in the 80s when it was more me.
I was on the edge of an area, you know? When I got there, it was a common situation. The border was considered a place of punishment, right?
I am here.
Me?
Problem. And I decided to go there because it was already PQD. I'm already 77, right? I went there out of my own interest. You had to pay a border fee. And when I got there, the anti-guns, right? What the fuck did you do in Rio to be here? It began like this, according to lieutenants, by...
That you had to pay the frontier stage to achieve what?
It's not natural. One day it goes to the border. It's good. It's going to be hunted. There I am. Because the border is heavy. The border has nothing. Newark, for example, had 8 hours of power a day. Otherwise, there was no television signal. There was only one telephone station. You took land to Cedolandia, so that from Holland and to Guya Lopez Jardim land, right? And I got there single. When I got there, the canned beer started to appear.
So, in the city, the lieutenant along with the sergeant is the temporary authority referred to as R.
2, huh? I was a lieutenant.
I was second lieutenant. It's up to us, each of us, to buy a can. The parents walk. It was a can for 10, okay? So there was a huge difference. There was a certain rivalry, right? And you were an authority. Second lieutenant, third sergeant, mandate for hell 2, EEA. People did our part. And what did you have when I went, for example, to the Bertione training camp, huh? Near the Miranda region to take out, I was going a few days before there was a lot of Sergeant Juruna, who calls, right? Ancient soldier. We were going, and there, by the way, now I can say, right, that it's no longer a crime. It's already statute of limitations, right? We hunted with 762, had the party there. Wow.
You should destroy the stops. The 762 is very sinister. No.
No.
Normal little exit hole I would stay with.
It's to hunt an animal to eat there. An animal that wasn't. It was not preserved by law. A boar.
Go.
A little bit of the bush. Yeah, it's a little boar, right? Then it was different. The business is nice, man. I got it once. I came in with a little hand line in the can, right? I was up to my waist in water, and then one arrived. Of you swearing the guy there. Oh, Auntie Go. Get out of there, Danny. Get out. Suchuri could take it. I didn't know. Damn, I was skinny at that time. Right, Suchuri? Swallow me and no one would know. So the things that, it's a different thing. Him, it's different, okay? So you had the pleasure. I looked once. You were there at the camp, right? Then it was soldier like, 3 minutes to shower. 50 soldiers. Then people came in. There were only 3 Bika fighting. There was a lieutenant who had just arrived there and his wife worked at Banco do Brasil. You're very polite, aren't you? Then he began to shout, stop, bathe sparingly. An old-fashioned major. An angry face. Terrible, huh? For you. For everyone. Whoever can say what parsimony is, a week's discharge.
Damn, that's when the guy got a pair. Simois is expensive, Po.
Oh, I knew what it was then. I got it. When they called me a misogynist the first time, I got a what the fuck? I asked, I was 11. Senator from Pará. What is that? Am I complimenting or are you calling me names?
I dislike women. Does that mean I like men?
What a little chat, huh?
Old bitch.
And man, that's it. Oh no, I'm not saying that to tease you, no. But one of the possibilities for the coming months is, in fact, having to face a cane.
Sure, let's discuss the trial first.
Yes, there's the trial, it's true. There is the trial that you will present everything you have and everything else. Look at me.
I thank you until I came here. And how did I begin to explain the most important thing, right? Qualified damage. What did I break? You have to individualize them all here. Here you go. There are 6 people here.
If that guy breaks my studio?
There it was. It broke. There's a shot in here. You can't convict everybody. A guy shot. You can't go to the football stadium. There's a break there. You punish everyone in the stadium as they are doing with the people of Rio de Janeiro. First with logic, some damage, something. It's not 17 years in prison, hence the Armed Criminal Association. For the love of God, these people who are in prison, no one was armed, much less me, who is outside Brazil. Violent abolition in the democratic rule of law. What was the violence here today? One even breaks into empty buildings. This is changing the democratic rule of law. These people who were arrested there in the camp came potential to say, I'm the president now. Wouldn't it be me? Because I was in the United States. It's this Zay here. It's the owner, Mrs. So-and-so. You can't, my God in heaven, you can't, with all the respect that we should have institutions, a type of judgment by people at least, right? So, at the top of the justice career, convicting these people, and Bachiada's convictions continue. For example, he arrived in the chamber a month ago. He had 11 colleagues there from Rondonia. He is always with me and helped me. We brought to parliament a lady with 6 small children, the eldest 10 years, the youngest 10 months. The father, sentenced to 14 years, is on the run. I don't know where Argentina is. I don't know, I guess.
Did I see that story?
And then I spent about 3 hours talking to this lady, not from before. She has no peace for anything. 10 months to 10 years. She was now scheduled to go to Copacabana, but her penultimate child was kicked in the horse. He's got a fractured femur. Let's try to see if you can bring her here for Polista do Dia, half a dozen now next month. To show the world they are orphans of living parents. Even my wife said, what a heart of stone who judged these people and this guy. He took a freight from Ji-Paraná to Brasilia, arrived Sunday morning, took a shower, decided to see the turmoil and went there. Defagado was imprisoned for a few months. He was imprisoned in freedom. He found out about the trial and graded away, especially because what could he expect? Can you imagine, you dad? Imagine a woman, as I mentioned at the start of the program here, if you're a father, you feel like a mother even more. Deborah, who showed up, Los Mane is in preventive detention for 2 months, going to trial this week. What's the trial's name again? Electronic there, it's not, it's in person, okay? She has not put her 2 children, an 8 or 10-year-old, to sleep or wake up for 2 years. This man from Ji-Paraná doesn't know that he conceived 6 children with his wife. Well, what was his crime? Some weren't even there. They were arrested. They're in the camp. There is no individualization of the penalty. We've already seen it. Break here, Palmeiras and Corinthians. People even die back there, right? It's gonna punish the whole stage. They made a mistake. Whoever entered made a mistake. No one doubts that. Then no one is going to say that they have to clean up. They have damaged the property. They have to pay. Now they have to see who did the damage. You saw who broke the clock, right? The guy, they only showed that video of the guy wearing my shirt. I showed it. I didn't show it. Now catch anyone like this guy who's not watching his son grow up. Will someone come into my house there and do something bad to my children? The worst is a mother. Have you ever imagined looking at the ceiling now there in Papuda, in the other prison that is in Brazil, looking at the ceiling? Do you think people were able to carry out a coup d'etat? What kind of coup is this that had no troops, no weapons, no leadership? Who says this is the Minister of Defense himself, Zelucio, among others? It is a very great injustice, which is why I appeal to people to attend Copacabana, where the main agenda is amnesty. That's what I want to talk about, guys, there. And we had a lot of people. It is a brand for Brazil that we want to change, the Brazil that is believing in us. There is no point in throwing in the towel and settling in, which will only get worse. It is the tendency of the human being. It is to advance more and more over the rights of others. That is the tendency. That's why I repeat here. If I have half of the Senate, I change the destiny of Brazil, not by threats or persecution. It is so that you have a force in the Senate. Independent, you don't have nowadays. You don't have nowadays that could take and say, oops, is it wrong here, or does anyone have doubts?
That the process of these convictions is completely outside the law, no one doubts it.
But how come what you feel in your heart about the possibility is fucking expensive? Because then I keep thinking about the possibility of me being arrested, especially if I believe I'm innocent, which is your case. Are you talking to me there?
Yeah, it must be a shit feeling. And on top of that, he misses a cool argument, which was that Lula had been arrested. What now?
Puts, look, I think who is on the left, if I am arrested but is vibrating, will release fireworks around the people on the right, center, who have sense and start to see here, there is no way to frame here, will say, oops, go, come on me sooner or later, so it will change. Go to my side, because the dictatorship, the oppression, the tendency is to increase. We have not yet arrived in Venezuela, which is what Venezuela is seeing. The rich Cassia left, the middle Cassia too, and is coming from the poor in recent years, entering Roraima and coming here. Now where are we going? Take the banana stump and swim there to Africa, compete there, go north there, a banana stump to get to Miami. There are no more coyotes, the border is guarded there. Even Trump himself took it and framed the president there. From Mexico, right? Because this joke here even included the Prime Minister and Trudeau from Canada, who brought drugs and also tourists, right? Over there, the joke was over, okay? He's doing the part over there. I have enormous gratitude to President Trump, given the way he treated me very respectfully, okay? He didn't tax us steel, he broke it. Who would have thought, right? Gave a good helping hand in ethanol alcohol. Did you need it? I talked to the staff. The people at the mill, so that there would be no problem. We didn't solve it. He's right. The issue of tourists that he liked at the time, he's right.
He placed our armed forces in Herson's great ally NATO. We started to have access to war material and technology faster and cheaper. So a lot was done. We did one there. We started a base agreement, launch of Alcantara. I talked to him about North-South trade. He confided what he thought about Venezuela. Okay, I get it. But how is Brazil? You take here the 37 memorandums and agreements that Lula signed on the occasion of the G20 with Xi Jinping at the end of last year. Brazil is over. Some say that I'm an informant for the United States. No, I publicized this one. I publicized it. Hey, you don't have to have the pleasure. You signed an agreement with China. You have to have the pleasure of showing it. I signed an agreement with China. Do you think the Chinese come here to lose? No, I don't come. They think 200 years ahead, our people, when many 2 years have election. Now that you deliver uranium to China, that uranium is something strategic, not only for medicine, agriculture, and power generation, atomic bomb as well. When you hand this over there, what do you want me upstairs to think of you? But what is it? It's like the Panama Canal, yeah. The American lost thousands of men in that.
Driving from there, the concession for the Chinese company will not pass. Let's discuss. I have priority for this concession, and China understands their behavior. You must do business with him, respectfully. But if you're not careful, the silent invasion continues. Clear?
Is your relationship with the military still legal?
No, I have no contact with the military anymore. I'm not. I'm on my own. I'm on recluse, okay? The vast majority like me, okay? All right. Perhaps Nem?
You can change your mind a lot.
No. He is aware. I handled it with dignity, especially the Air Force commander who gave a statement. Pig's rights, that's all he asked for. Even till the end, we acquired 2 massive freighters. I sustained all military projects.
We carried out a good social security reform, which everyone liked there. We lacked a better service to the Navy and Air Force square. If I come back one day, I'll solve this problem, okay? But I dealt with everyone in the military. Until everyone, in fact, even the nursing staff, I gave an unimaginable increase, 33%. We also gave education personnel a raise because there was no theft. The state-owned company made a profit. If it made a profit, it doesn't need to be helped with money, union money. There was money left over, okay? And Brazil, so much so that I did all this, there was still left. There were 54 billion left at the end of 22, right? Now, sounds the best. It was different. There was no corruption in the government, nothing, no problems at all. You've never had a report out there. The issue of the vaccine has a report from the American Congress. It doesn't have one.
Not many vaccines today because last time we discussed vaccines, there has to be, but you may decline.
There is a fantastic report from the American Congress on COVID and vaccines. Me, it's 500 or so pages. I made a 3-page summary. I'm going to publish it once, right? Yes, even I put it in. Even he proposed the first time out of curiosity. Even he proposed to see it. No. Oh, yeah? And now you're typed. Typed is digitized.
Aham is typed?
It's gone. It was back in my time. I took a typing course.
This here is. It's you writing, it is.
Writing the numbers on the side are the pages, right? Okay? The page is what? What is it? What is the conclusion of the American Congress on this report? I get it, okay? There was one of the cool things there. According to them, for every 200,000 infected children, one will die from that question. Is it worth vaccinating 200,000 knowing the side effects?
Now you have some vaccines. Do you like it better? You don't or you don't?
Look, I've taken all the inactivated mRNA virus vaccines. No, so much so that 12 of Lula's ministers and Alckmin, who is a doctor, did not take the necessary doses for COVID. Why didn't they take it? Are they deniers, flat earthers, or Bolsonarists?
They're cab drivers.
They're taxi drivers.
There's a question for us, John. There is. It's over. No, don't calm down, my brother. We're now halfway through. Calm down. Are you nervous? Well, oh yeah, let me enjoy it, man, and ask you here if you're already there the other time. I gave you mead, man. I don't think so, right? I don't think so. So I'll give you a mead today.
Is it better to advertise mead?
Come on, have this mead here. Let me eat. No need to talk.
You don't need a chip, is that it?
It's good. Legend says it doesn't.
Do you need them?
Mead. It's like vinyl instead of using grapes. During fermentation, honey is used, leading to this drink. It has a dark flavor. Cocoa, perhaps. But there are many varieties. Fetch yours.
Name here?
Is it good? It is. You've been here so long. Felipe Mitch, that's almost the same thing, right? Yeah, but...
You drink mead and every night you have a honeymoon. Oh, good.
I knew it was a drink for that. Even originally, it was a drink for that very reason. It's even good if you go there at felipemit.com.br to see that it's rolling consumer media and is having Black Friday prices. So for you to try it, if you've never taken it, go there and try it. It's felipemit.com.br, uses the coupon FLOW10 to get 10% discount. It means that if you buy 10 bottles, one comes out for free. You can get 100 for free. Oops, just buy 1,000. Which one?
My share there?
Oh, okay, then get in there.
Oh, last week I introduced the graphene helmet here, right?
Graphene helmet?
Bicycle order here, graphene helmet, but
Does that explain the graphene helmet?
no, the graphene started to come off the drawing board and onto the shelf.
It's because it's always been one of your platforms is graphene, and
Graphene appearing 2004 is brand new. This business here, and the big problem was separation. Separated graphene from graphite. Era broke up with Durex's son in the past. Imagine productivity now that the UX University of Santa Catarina is the University of Caxias do Sul. It is with technology as it allows us to move towards industrialization, and graphite is all over the world. For example, I was on a mountain of graphite here in Miracatu, there in Ribera, Sao Paulo in 2002, 1018. I even picked up some material.
and there's a spelling helmet, right? Advantage of him that he is.
Light? No. It is lighter and distributes a possible countertop better. Got it.
So then,
This is an advantage. There are people who don't even have a motorcycle, but they will buy a helmet just to be alone.
stay what's unbreakable, right?
I completely can't see you.
Is it to be immortal?
It's more beautiful. A helmet is immortal.
But you're very jealous, aren't you? No, man, just because I'm staying. The first thing he said when he saw me was, oh, you've lost weight.
Well, I'm not now, I am.
Fit, man, damn, I'm strong. But let's see what the guys over there are telling you, Bolsonaro. Why don't you ask the supporting deputies to sign the anti-privilege amendment of the public elite? We'll see who the center is. I understand being MBLO author, but it is a good pack and proposal.
I was once a parliamentarian. It's not because someone will ask, will you sign? There was something that people thought they should sign. I didn't sign it either. Is this from understanding? It is.
Personal convictions of each.
Of each possible analysis there may be, right? Is that coming to me? Nowadays, the priority is amnesty, that any second imprisoned innocent is worth an eternity.
Who is it? Who are the voices within the pro-amnesty system? Who's helping you on the inside?
It is growing. Several parties, of course, are OPPO. I talked to Kasab, PSD. That's one. This is a strong guy. Marcos Pereira.
But he is not Centrão Bolsonaro, him.
No problem, okay? Ratinho, governor of Paraná, gave a favorable decree for amnesty, and so is Mauro Mendes of Mato Grosso. It will be Sunday, Copacabana. Jorginho Mera will be there. Santa Catarina is from our party, right? Tarcisio, who is Republican, will be there too. So we don't choose who we will support, who we want to support. There are even some from non-PT parties, but B's OPC is PSOL. These people are radical, right? There are other left-wing parties. There are people who will vote for Alexandre when the guy sees how a mother with 6 children lives in Congress who... Dad's on the run. It touches people's hearts that the guy knows what his crime was. Did anyone have the potential to stage a coup d'etat to change the democratic rule of law? I didn't have that power. Was anyone armed? I wasn't armed, for God's sake. What's that for? Power play. Even the state of Sao Paulo made the editorial a few weeks ago, more or less the following, if taken out of the hands of the PT. False flag for democracy. Opt has absolutely nothing to say. I get it. Absolutely nothing to say. And then there's Lula, isn't it? Who's fervently defending Hamas, supported Maduro's contentious re-election, and backs the ascent of Daniel Ortega. He has a history of aligning with the Cuban regime, visiting Iran in 2009, and standing side by side with Ahmadinejad, claiming Iran's uranium enrichment is for peaceful purposes. A true defender of democracy there. He's the guy who was going to end the war drinking beer with Zelensky and Putin. You were going to end the war like a guy on a jet ski. Fucking no. What do I see here? Ooh, Trump is the negotiator because he has the highest total economic and military power. He's sorting out the hostage issue there. Israel, you cannot even sensitize. Opt here in Brazil. The women trapped there, perfect, more than once, raped. The way to get to you see clearly, much more, less weight, walking with difficulty, even without being. Elisa Optopt talks so much about women's defense of women's defense, but being raped there is not their problem. The guys invaded a part of Israel and killed more than 1,000 people, slit their throats. The child set fire to people, and that is his right according to Opt. EOPT, which says that it defends women in that region, right? Not in Israel, right? In some region over there. The person of Palestine is an object of man's pleasure. I don't even have the right to have pleasure. Given what happens as soon as you are born and you think this is right, you used to maintain it. There are LGBT groups that defend it. Then Palestine will go there to make a gay parade there. It will turn glitter. It will be executed immediately. And people who can't understand this, then it will be difficult for you, right? In the endeavor of reshaping a nation, perseverance prevails. It's not sheer fatigue, but unwavering persistence that wins the day. Can change be effected? Even without the battle, would you? Indeed, things might worsen. Recently, with the standard of living, everyone inevitably suffered. Purchasing power. Ah, the coffee that is expensive. What's wrong with coffee being expensive? Ah, the Chinese is consumed, another cause. Now the guy, when Lula, when he takes over agriculture, is fascist. He can want what you didn't see with me. WTO has invaded. When I invaded, the rare times 1 or 2 days later the matter was resolved. I gave firearms to the population. It was not throw up. But firearms in the field inhibited invasions. I potentialized the number of kakes. We are almost at 1,000 CACs. The guy won't break into your property knowing you're armed. The number of deaths fell almost 30% since the end of the Temer government. This reduction started with Temer and improved with us. APF and APRF are breaking records in seizing weapons and drugs. Now APRF is prohibited from conducting highway operations, only managing traffic, making life easier for drug dealers. After all, who applauded Lula during the elections? It's the prisons. Even in the Northeast, the guys don't talk. For me, there were no parties, fireworks, nor any significant celebration there while I was pulling crowds. The state of São Paulo recently published an editorial. I mentioned something from the press because sometimes what I say isn't enough. OPT is supposed to be a popular party, yet it's devoid of people. They got there somehow. Talking about electronic voting machines makes one a criminal, trying to manipulate the system. He has to be sentenced to 28 years in prison because the coup, according to the federal police, began in a live broadcast that I did on July 21st criticizing the electoral system. They speak attacking, it is criticizing, so much so that the loophole to start arresting people and doing atrocities began when Otse had just arrived there. Mr. Alexandre de Moraes revoked the mandate of Deputy Francisquini from Paraná. Because there were 10 minutes left to end the session and the elections, he did a live saying, oh, a lot of people are sending a video that is trying to press 17. Another guy appears, and really a lot of videos. So to silence everyone and create jurisprudence for those who criticize the electoral system, which is an attack against democracy, you cannot doubt the electoral system's machines. You doubted the attack on democracy. They started this barbarism with him. And it is in line that the 15 PL parliamentarians between Nicholas, Gaia, my children, and become ineligible for criticism or other issues such as fake news do not have any type of criminal education. Fake news I should not, but I can lie to you? What's the penalty? Prison loss, political rights. We're walking out, it's not over, look.
Who decides why it's a lie, right? Not you.
You'll never decide. How can one effectively combat fake news with increased freedom? For instance, if you begin bringing in guests to discuss trivial matters and everyone agrees politely, who will then be interested in watching your program?
Or meat.
The mead is there. Drink the mead and live a new honeymoon. That won't have that there, teacher. You won't have that there. It's the same thing as the others out there. Why was Luciano Hang placed in the investigation? Of scam businessmen and exchanging private group information, and then they filtered a person there, and he talks zucchini, and how do you send him for a walk? I ended up with my private group because you who had swear words there, and now you can take a lot of things, take some phrases. Look here, the guy is trying against democracy. They made him the businessman who gave it to Fidel Castro. I don't know what for president of the republic. He did it like this, emoji. He was in the investigation now. What did you get with that? Luciano Ranking had 10,000 people. Followers who supported me remained mute, and other businessmen who are going to come to that, oops, I'm not going, I'm going to stay on my own. So Otse put a heavy finger on me because of it. Then Otse did not allow me during the election campaign to show Lula saying that he defended abortion, to show Lula saying that the guy steals a cell phone to have a beer. Lula hugging dictators from all over the world. I couldn't post images of September 7th, images and speaking at the UN, which was a different speech. It wasn't that speech that Itamaraty made. You can see my first speech at the UN. The guys at Dutra there at dawn discussing the general line. All right, come back tomorrow. No, when the guys came back tomorrow, I had seen the press, leaked everything, ready to continue, guys. Everyone, though, I'll do it alone with my typewriter. I made the speech alone. And people went crazy. These people really wanted to have access before I landed in Washington. They won't have access. Oh, but they have to make a problem for you. There were only a few minutes left. I delivered it and went there and read it on the phone yesterday in my speech. And then I asked the people there, how is the repercussion in Brazil? It's awful. So it was good. People arrived there to talk zucchini, vaseline, sweet words. I don't know what I said. The truth here in Brazil. A president of France there. A corner there. Look, I'll get into yours about the environmental issue after you start having riparian forests in your rivers. There in France, after you have a preservation site of at least 20%, that Brazil has 20% to 80%. And who maintains the preservation is the farmer himself. You guys did the same thing. So I agree with you that it is a matter of carbon. It's a conversation. You just fell asleep. He doesn't fulfill anything. In 2018, during the transition, Brazil is scheduled to hold COP25. Why? I said, I'm not going to do it anymore. He says that I'm not going to spend billions here to have a party for these people in suits, but he is now doing a binational Itaipu for 3 years to Belém do Pará, which will not have any legacy. It seems like part of this, almost everything, I don't know, is for desilting. It's the coolest work you have to do. Got it. I put the money in my pocket and I'm good.
Oh, let's move on to the next day.
Diego Negron said, if the ballot box is not reliable are his victories and those of his party personnel reliable? Yeah, go.
Look, people think that since I've been re-elected several times, everything is fine. Let's assume there was fraud. Let's assume, okay? You will not cheat everything. Cheating part is possible. Now that it's a vote, it's people on the street, I told you. Here in São Paulo, Santa Catarina, Pernambuco, and Manaus, I've gathered 300,000 motorbikes. Completely aligned with me are 1,000 CACs, 1,000 PM personnel, and firefighters.
There were people to vote.
So the majority, the overwhelming hand, was with us. The armed forces, 1,000 head, calling all 1,000 head. It had everything you need. Everybody makes money from me. We took water to the northeast, created PICs, served the people with emergency aid. I put in Bolsa Familia, 600 BRL for everyone with fiscal responsibility. It couldn't go wrong, could it? It's not about winning an election. I did this because we had the pandemic.
I understand in 22, it's right at the end of 22, that's when we're talking about ballot boxes and everything else again.
I believe your entire estimate amounts to around 22,000.
When we petitioned for the first time when the elections were over, we saw some possible inconsistencies, and in accordance with TSE resolutions laws, we questioned them at the TSE, okay? The next day, it was rejected, and we were fined 22,000.
Please correct me if I am wrong.
It was rejected because it asked to review the is what OA votes in the second round for president. And they wanted that since it's to be reviewed, let's review the entire election. But
then it causes interference. If we appeal, the penalty could escalate to $200,000. This could potentially jeopardize the party regime. Discussions on defense appeared amid talks of a possible coup.
It's all about planning and execution.
Some talk about the Supreme Court, but wait a minute. When you talk about a defense site, the first step is to convene the defense councils. The defense councils and the Republic councils were not convened. They were not discussed. What's wrong with you talking about constitutional provisions? What's wrong with the 4 lines? And I do the whole wave now. They link all this to me. Or January, he scheduled January 8th. Where is the test I scheduled? Huh? There's no proof of anything. I have Sid's own statement. Either it's all a lie or it's all true. He said he found out on January 2nd from the press. I doubt it. In Brazil, those who didn't find out were from the press. How can 1 out of 500 people pull off a scam and nothing leaks? There are 8 heads here. If we keep a little secret in the corner, tomorrow someone will leak it. Even 2 people sometimes leaks, right?
Especially when it's a stop like this. Very expensive, right? Like a coup, man.
I am.
I hope so, huh? I don't know if it leaks.
No, but how are you going to maintain a coup to put Dona Hilda, that little lady, put Dona Hilda there in my Madam President? Or are you going to call me from the United States? I was there in Disneyland talking to Goofy, to Mickey, to Duck. Good.
Hey, Bolsonaro, come back. What now?
You're the president. They accused me. I am. When I went there, I took it. I had more or less the total of my savings that came from back there. 800,000 BRL in Banco do Brasil. I turned it into dollars and put it in BB America, APF. I wanted to pull a punch, but wait. First, give a scam with $140,000 USD, another put in the US. This must be on the tax relative. What do you give $140,000 USD for? You can't even execute a half-hour coup, man.
Half an hour of?
Coup, no.
Born, I understand. Okay, Hugo Alessino here. He said, hello. Good night, Igor. And Bolsonaro, do you think it was worth being controversial during the pandemic? I believe you did everything right, vaccines, etc., but you communicated poorly. And it cost a new mandate. It would be different in a new opportunity than the other time you see here. I think we changed this idea. And I got the feeling that it's the way it was conducted in what he said. If in the pandemic it was a mess in the election, you feel that too. He's talking until he agrees with what you do.
I said, man, you hated me, didn't you? The guys kept shouting that it was a vaccine. He didn't buy the vaccine. There was a guy who wanted to buy this vaccine in 2020. The first vaccine administered was in December 2020. Another, any medicine I buy, I have to have a similar one at Anvisa Uhum. Now, I read the Pfizer contract. I saw the side effects in the contract. For example, Pfizer is not responsible for any side effects. How am I going to kill in the chest and buy a train like that? And when you see the side effects, especially for children, like heart disease, the medicine is transplant. Now just a bunch of side effects. It's for him, that for him.
Did you choose a medicine leaflet?
If you read a medicine leaflet, do I take medicine? I don't know, man. Not me.
It was there. I'll kick you here that 90% or more don't read the leaflet at all. It's true. I read that. I was worried. I'm responsible. It's not that I read people too, so they brought me here. This part of the contract, this one. So much so that after I said, look, I could buy in advance, but I didn't. There was no guarantee of delivery. Now, actually, come on. Really, you have no doubt. Here's the first hand. You can predict the entire pandemic. When it started, you had it, right? And there's a prediction. When it's over, it's called without doing anything, herd immunity, yeah? So this virus killed people. It killed, okay? It's a new vaccine, mRNA, right? So from what I understand, talk about the vaccine, and there was a deadline to finish, but to finish without a vaccine, they started applying the vaccine here, intensified and ended here. Then it arrived at the end. Look, the pandemic has recorded the vaccine. My statement is backed by the American Congress, and my opinion in this matter is not relevant.
Nothing came out long ago by
3 months. So what am I talking about here? Let's say that your fake news has to be prosecuted. He has to be arrested, right? Getting fined, and I throw it all here in the American Parliament. And what I read there is serious, so much so that he is largely responsible for the wrong pandemic policy. Fake doctor. And on Biden's last day, he gave a preventive amnesty to the fake doctor. Coincidence, right? If he was bam, because a preventive amnesty, and here you see here, he mentions 2 medicines, let's say his name here, that I don't want headaches where you want them, right? Whoever said no, I won't say no, 22 medicines was something else. And it says here in the report that they had to demonize it in order to sell the vaccine. Me, when for example, an Anvisa, because I didn't have power during the pandemic. The Supreme Court gave power to the mayor's governor. Yeah, I just sent the guy's money, okay? And what happened at that time there? Well, I lost my fucking life here. Where am I, huh?
Well, I was talking about how the American Congress was talking about the vaccine now that it is demonizing the use of other stops.
It is mentioned that this medicine could have saved lives. I won't add any further comments. I'll just state that I didn't do anything wrong. Now, maybe I was the only boss in the world who had this behavior that led. I lost a vote. I had the same doubt that I lost a vote, but many people today say, thanks to you, I took such a measure. Now, you can't open a lawsuit against me here in Brazil because I'm doing it now without you taking into account the opinion, the report of the American Congress. And it's not just the US Congress. mRNA vaccines are being banned worldwide. Nothing against inactivated virus. I took them all with no problem. My wife received the Johnson vaccine, but I am not taking it.
I wanted to get a better look.
What did you take in the United States? I'll leave you this summary here, okay? My wife took it in the United States. She already had a crisis on the plane. She had 2 other crises. I'm not going to arrive. Wait a minute. I didn't say it's a fight, right? That's a fight, right? I did everything to prevent her from taking the vaccine. It's her right to do so. Now, there are people who don't want to call me a genocide, for God's sake. Have you read the leaflet? It's worth it. The risk isn't worth it. For some, it's worth it. Okay, I bought a total of $600 million. We spent more than $1 trillion adding up everything during the pandemic. And the ratio of public debt to GDP, was this percentage favorable to the economy? I understand there was no slutty, there was no theft. You see, I see now that Previ is having an embezzlement there, a loss of 14 billion reais. The post office is already over. There was a debt back there that the mail server, right, an employee. I paid an extra from Postalis until 2030. In addition to the discount, Postalis fund is an extra. The cheapest was 500 barrel. Now comes another blow to the post office. New diversions in the pension fund, which is the easiest place to get your hands on. You put a person there to do that doesn't have much responsibility. He buys papers like postcards, bought papers from Venezuelan companies in the past. It's obvious here it was a business, right? Broken company. So what? The one who pays the bill is the employee, right? And it's not just Correio, not Banco do Brasil. Pretty much everyone's in trouble there.
Edson Pellicer sent me. Good night. Bolsonaro, would you like you to explain the blocking of more than $2 billion for education at the end of your mandate?
What is the reason for the lack of investment in this area?
Look, education is not the investment. We gave the moment of history to teach us. It's the curriculum, it's the curriculum. You take books, for example, that taught that Cuban medicine was a wonder in Brazil. It was crap. You back there, when you were a boy, my family arrived. It was common for you to arrive literate at schools. You pick up the kids. You're in the 3rd year of elementary school. You started to be literate. Now we have created the ministers of Dade, from education, for example, or such a gramophone in 6 months, literacy for people. We launched the civil military school, which worked, inspired by military colleges, the Army and Militarized College, the state of Iguaz and Amazonas. I had it in 2017, early 18, at a military police school in a dominated neighborhood, right? Because of the bad thing in Manaus, okay? I got there, it was on vacation, the kids went to school, I talked to the kids, I talked to the parents.
Bad father leaving his son inside.
The militarized school.
He doesn't want his son to have a life here. He is full at school because he learned something there. You get the quality of the students in Goiás and these militarized schools, which is from the PM, right? Goiás and Amazon are no different. I wanted to create a military college in every state that didn't have one. It wasn't possible. We created it in Sao Paulo, even there, during my campaign when I said I was going to do it, right? 6. Then they resolved an ordinance. It was the Temer government still open. Raising here in Sao Paulo to deny fatherhood to me. But it's fine, okay? Yet we enhance it here.
Tattoo. That's how it is. For politicians in general, these paternities are important, right, man, right?
It's important. It is the same now as a member. Today, it has almost 40 million per year amendment. If he applies it well, there is no way he won't be re-elected.
Damn! So you find this appealing? What are your thoughts on the entire system?
Notice the secret amendment, huh? That's what people claim, right? Pix amendment indeed, during my administration. Proposal from Congress, they approved it, I vetoed it, Ahem overturned the veto. So there are the amendments.
The guys we're knocking now, do you have another name?
I prefer money in the hands of a deputy than in Lula's hands, okay? As much as you may suspect something, it's a matter of priority, okay? Now Brazil needs to raise money, the economy has to run. You can even keep it there. You have to have some control because you always suspect someone is doing something stupid. That's human nature.
Yeah, I was talking to the guys here. Is it today? No. But these days there are those who really like being in power. People who really like the power of being president, being a deputy, being a senator, anything. Yeah, and what the hell? Would it be enough if the motivation of these guys wasn't a break-in motivation? What I mean, the guy, he goes, he wants to stay in power, and to stay in power, he does any business. See, the ideal would be for him to do the best things so that to stay in power in the best way. But Darwin explains that it's not this strategy that works best. What is a strategy that works best is the Ambado strategy. Huh? And then we have 1 and we have 11. Not all of them, but 11. Political class half shaped by the entire system, that if the guy throws money here and there, I don't know what, there's no way he won't be elected again, right? So for me, it's a bit of a marked game that I hate. Well, we need it.
Mine.
Time to give.
What was my re-election strategy? You know, a little of a lot and a lot of little. Then I quote the name, you might not like it, okay? Rita Kamada of the Holy Spirit. She had the ECA, okay? Celso Russomano, consumer defense. I had armed security forces, some parliamentarians, animal defense, okay? So it was a strategy that I used, and my amendments, for example, I didn't give amendments to the mayor, that at that time, you only released amendments if you voted for something that was of interest to the government when it was for the armed forces. The release is on them. I don't want to talk. And another problem, there are many mayors graded 10, but there is another group that is not so much. And if there is a problem with the amendment in the black municipality, he won't remember the mayor, but he will remember you, deputy. So I used this when the ambulance scandal broke out. 180 deputies was 15% of the value of the amendment, and it was really a counter there, right? The guy got to 11 ambulance, 23 dick, 15% half, win. When it was approved in the commission, the other half, when it was approved in the budget, there was this basis. Some were connected. Look, when it broke out, it was in the river. Then I called Chavez de Abril and he said, Jorge, is there any amendment to the ambulance? Half, he said. He is a deputy. He has 2. I did.
For love.
From God. How am I supposed to explain that? Then I hung up the phone, I spoke, then he called again. Deputy doesn't have any. No, it's just a prank. And they're up because you were going to pay. He was a deputy. He had nothing to do with it. The deputy gave 11 ambulance to the municipality that the chief of staff, someone from the cabinet to give in my municipality. There you can't sweep and leave Rio de Janeiro. And then there was trouble. Who was an account? The member does not care about the chief of staff, and neither does the chief of staff. That scolding bitch is going to go up, right? Yeah, fuck.
Is it good? It is indeed. Where are you getting tired now, man?
Not only that.
Almost 70, right?
What day are you already 21 now? What day is today? What, 14 and 7?
Days are coming. What is it?
7 coming up now. Now I'm going to get old.
Probably as good as me.
No, you know it's Michelle's birthday. That Michelle is only 1 day younger than me, right?
What's one day like?
I'm from March 21. She was March 22.
All right? It's just a fucking rare year, right?
It's like marriage, right? Huh? He said that the man says the following: you mark the day, I mark the year. Okay?
All right, it's Edson boy. What I noted there is the Illuminatus commanded. We require a significant impact. We need a nuclear bomb during your administration. Why haven't you devised any program in this context? If you become president again, do you plan to make progress? Ukraine might be Brazil in the future. I absolutely disagree with that concluding part. What's your view on Adam? Consider this.
Ukraine handed over weapons peacefully to Russia when the Iron Curtain fell. Here it is in the Constitution that we will not invest in weapons, nuclear weapons. No, I'm not going into this. Stop here, that is. If you went back there, you could think, now the tram has passed. You can't compete with another country. Were you going to suffer retaliation, embargoes?
And yes, Brazil is not exactly in a position that we are giving up.
You have to have a good partners, good friends, right? And I opted for the American, a good relationship. So much so that apart from Temer, right, before me, it's Brazilian politics. And now he's back with Lula. Yes, it's aggressive. The action is there. Conquerors are indeed oppressors and colonizers. That's my belief.
That the bag of the Chinese, also Vakaina, that I don't know what.
I didn't say Vakaina. I never said Vakaina, right? But my Vakaina politics is business. I didn't privatize anything for China here in Brazil, okay?
Okay. Mateus sent it here. Bolsonaro, the Lord will prohibit creation. Oh, the guys are in the pyre that you will be able to compete in 26. Bolsonaro, you will ban the creation and issuance of CBD6 central bank digital currencies, just as Trump banned in January. Because Drex is making great strides and I don't see the opposition speaking out against it.
Hey, it's Drex. There is a deputy there from Santa Catarina, Julia Zanata, who works very well in this area. A gun in the hand, in the citizen of positive good, in the hand of a criminal is different. It's Drex, okay? If you have a good government. That it is not a censor, you can even take me to vote. I would vote with Julia Zarata. Against, at the moment, the Dex has been for a while now that the government has had the ability, according to Julia Zarata, and it is true, to control you. Even if you imagine a pandemic, the Dex hum, what can't you buy? You were going to buy, you were going to pay, and you were going to put this in the cashier's son, can't you? Would I know where you were? You can spend it.
That's certainly one of Drex's possibilities.
That's it. This government then is the worst possible for me. I couldn't. I wasn't going to put the good one forward. If I did, you wouldn't have a problem with me. Did you see that? Censoring someone.
But would you approve and knowing that it is a tool that can be used by one?
Future against. But if approved, what is the ultimate boundary? The entity that determines approval or rejection is the Aham legislature. They authorize, they overturn the veto. It's democracy in action, right? Understood. So it really depends on who holds the power.
Oh, Felipe has sent another one here.
The Lava Toga CPI in the Senate was the constitutional path to investigate Toffoli by opening the fake news investigation, which only later reached Bolsonaro supporters. Instead of containing the STF's abuses at the root, as many defended, you preferred to attack morals in a sound car and consult the armed forces.
Finally, he doesn't proceed, okay? You have to know. You cannot enter as a parliamentarian or as president into a war that you will lose or do not have. Cora has no ammunition for her.
Allow me to elaborate a bit.
I just needed to watch it from the beginning, okay?
Yeah, and that's great. To wrap up, you might think you have it figured out, but I've got more.
Oh,
Eduardo also asked, here's what you thought of Geisel talking about there in the 90s and the late 80s. So you were a military man, did you? Hey, look.
that's everything. He authored a book and only permitted it to be published posthumously. If I recall correctly, he passed away in 90. 96, 96, this is the second term of federal deputy. Logical. I became a counselor. I gave an interview at Veja. I was punished. 15 days of vacation, right? Guaranteed another problem with me. I was judged at the military superior. I was archived, and I understand, although I was wrong, so much so that I never said that the 15 days of hook that I was also wrong. I never said that, okay? And it gave me a certain projection. When I took over, I made movements with women in Brasilia in 92, where it appeared to us, right? Collor gave a certain guy a bonus of a Trande 1,000, 160% of the South, based on what Gaia gave to the civil servant, which even percentage is right. So we got some gain. Logically, I shot figuratively, right? And the gas I was out, it was a former president. He didn't like it. He thought the captain was here.
He had lost his mind.
I had another encounter and resolved it. It was a doubt I had amplified and documented in the book as a conspirator and a poor soldier. He was also conspiring during his era.
Before you even realized it, did you start thinking he was a good guy?
No. What is a good bad soldier? You have to reference your grades. For example, 40 or so captains and lieutenants did this Army physical education. It was the first 13 diving resources in GBS. There in Barra de Tijuca, I was the first in this. I didn't get average. MB, very good, right? Which is above 8, which I finished with average, above with 8 and 2. But in the concept, they gave me such a bad concept. So I got a 78.
Got it.
Why the bad concept? Because I made a change in Isaur. I answered the concept in Isaur, okay?
Sure.
I understand. And then the concept was worth 8 degrees, right? A point of what was the students and a point of instructor among the students. We gave each other a good grade. I understood right now all this happening. Even if I had a bad grade from instructors, I couldn't, for example, in the concept. In the endurance, prolonged physical exertion, couldn't give me a 5 and ended up giving me a 3. I was an acquaintance, a horse, so I don't complain. No, my career was over. That's okay. I already knew that. So much so that I came as a candidate for counselor, That was in 87, 88. I came as a candidate for councillor, and it gave me a terrible luck, right? Because I was going for the MDB. It was Nelson Carnero who I was going to talk to. I think they bugged my phone. They held me there. There at the headquarters there until later when I knocked on our curator's door, he was gone. Then I went to the door of the PDC, Christian Democratic Party. They gave me the party on the last day. And in the elections, OMDB did 21 with 13,000, another with 12,000 votes, and I had 11, 12, 1,000 and little. I wouldn't be the first substitute in the PDC. I became the first DEI.
Lucky I understand a lot.
Lucky, I got it. Now my life is made up of things, right?
Some of these stops happened.
Sometimes it happens, but often. Often even the stabbing, right? Yeah, it was a miracle, wasn't it? The doctors say he walks without a stab wound like this. Only one survives. The guy here survived.
Like Trump, they have a lot in common beyond wealth, right? The rest share his volunteerism. Let's fight, let's win, right? I believe God placed me here until now to die after graces. If they arrest me, they will kill me. I have no doubt that you poisoned me, man. No doubt you did this.
Poisoned minor?
Oh, let the man go.
Are you going to turn it into a SA?
Are you going to rest there? No, but I'll be fine too. I don't care if I'm in jail. I got a headache that I was arrested. I have to be eliminated. Therefore, you need to worry, right? Because a sniper could target you. It's the simplest thing.
Living like this must suck, man.
You have to turn it off, don't you? When I was stabbed, I went through moments like now here. Oh, if I had died, yes.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah, but you don't. When I was stabbed, you see the image as well. I was standing to the side and the stab wound to him, and I thought it was a punch in the stomach. And I was like, let's keep going. No, I want to pick up a pen, a hole like that, and it doesn't bleed out like it has an intestine. It bleeds in. The first miracle pierced one side of the mesenteric artery, and they opened it, put blood. Then I opened it again. I must have put 11 patches there in the mesenteric artery. Then you will see I arrived in Sao Paulo, right? I started to sit on the bed. Suddenly, Dr. Macedo arrives and sees me. I don't know what I'm going to have to operate on. I'm going to see when now. Really, bitch. I'm going to put everything back. The sound of nasogasica, bitch, is terrible. The business is terrible. The third, fourth surgery took 12 hours because with the colostoma bag.
His intestine was stuck a lot, requiring another operation.
There were 111 horrible scars.
No.
A hearing, sure.
Show it? Sure, you can see it.
You can see it, folks. It's not that bad.
I was worse. The last surgery involved 11 plastic surgeons. Macedo isn't a plastic surgeon. He's not tired, so he fixed his belly, but now I lost it. There's a screen here. I'll need to put one here on the side because you're having a hernia here. There's a screen next door. You won't go here, will you?
Complicated? I fucking get it. You did. You really messed up. Got it. Get it?
You messed up a lot. Putz, I mean, yeah, it was the...
But
you're alive, right? Yeah, he's alive. Got it. Not my understanding. Oh, look at that.
the guy say who?
Wait, look at my face. Who was I to be president of the republic, boy? He's a troublemaker deputy, man. Low clergy, fighting like hell in the chamber without money, right? The last party that accepted me was the PSL. It had 7-second television. I spent less than 1,000, give or take. If it has been corrected today, 4,000 reais, why did I arrive?
Did you learn how to use the internet properly?
That was the case. Was that the case with the internet? Yes, he was my marketer.
For me and myself, I think the cat's big leap was character building. Yeah, remember when you said the right one was half jelly? I think the construction of the...
It was programmed. It wasn't one. I believe it. Do this, do that. Attacking was unintentional, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Being on TV shows, being the guy, I'm a conservative. Didn't you have a guy? I am.
Conservador went live all 19 hours. Every day on Facebook, there were 400,000 people, for example. Major Olimpio was in 4th place, went to my house, to Carlos's house, participated in some, moved to 1st, had one.
Video there in the river, also in...
Transition, he has already asked for me. I want São Paulo's recipe there, along with his substitute, who died later for God's sake. It started. Hell hair. I didn't even know what the revenue organization chart was like. What you're charging, you had to have it. You had to be by my side to help me. We're together. What can you do to help? Charging. Revenue has already become an enemy on the first day of inauguration. Some were like that.
And man, sorry, bad trip, but did you feel betrayed today on some level?
I comprehend the human.
Me too.
I understand the human being, okay? Odna of the human being today. It's a shame when you're experienced. Ready to live. You have to be thinking about the lot. In the cemetery, Uhum is my situation. I have a lot more time in the rearview mirror than in the breeze. It is nowadays would arrive much better, but much better. As Trump arrived better, would he know how to choose?
A few?
The technical ministers were exceptional. The ones I put therein said Palaciano. For God's sake, that's right. There the ego reared its head. Some didn't look at me because I was captain. The other one thought I was stupid. I may be, but I never mistreated anyone. You've never seen him beat up anybody, cursing anybody, swearing here and there. That's okay, right? But I did the best of God, the best of me. I showed the views of the government, the people, Did you know what Parliament is, what the Supreme Court is, what the executive ministers are? I started talking about God, homeland, and family, some biblical passages, and setting an example. I plunged into the pool there. Olympic hot pool, but what the fuck? Is it solar or electric? Turn off corporate card. There are 3 cards. One that is travel expenses, Brazil, outside Brazil. Another from Alvarado, which has 200 people holding and are there. And a private one of mine. Do you know how much I spend over 4 years? 0. I could withdraw money and spend up to $20 a month. It's money to me. It's fucking money. Never, never. This here is a penny.
Even more so, take $20 for you to spend to lower it.
You need to be accountable for money, but generically, not just 20,000 BRL.
It's years, Ahim.
Wow. 20 dick for me, you're even good? Count long? Look, in my 4 years as president, I haven't asked for retirement from the House of Amendments. I asked after I left the presidency, which only had the position of captain. 12 sticks, 13,000 a month. And I pay for 30 years, retires from the House, and I'm entitled to 3,035 targets. Today I give about 36,000 gross per month. I asked, then I didn't ask there, despite what I want to say, okay? He has a salary of president, deputy, captain. He doesn't talk shit. Mm-hmm. And when the press used the corporate card, I didn't even have one of those cards for traveling outside of Brazil. I paid for the trip of our aircraft, which went to pick up those infected in Wuhan, China. They brought it to Goiânia, if I'm not mistaken, because I didn't have money. I use popcorn on my corporate card. People put it in my account. You have to praise her thinking it went to UN. Juan, during the pandemic, we had an unbelievable thing. There was a lack of oxygen in Manaus. The very complicated logistics are in a hurry. We transported oxygen and Air Force planes, the Hercules. And why is that? It's a risky measure. Oxygen vasculated up there, it would explode in contact with grease. The people made a hole in the C-130 so that if it leaked, any oxygen would go out. And the pilots, the crew, you can die, you will, I will present. Bitch that gave birth, boy, fuck, still accusing us after having neglected. If it weren't for that, more people would have died, and I failed to predict, right? Today, I'll come back one day, I'll give the medal for dryer with palm to these. What is this medal? Few people have. I have a medal for what? Pass the translator with Palmer, okay? You risk your life for the lives of others. This Air Force guy, they did.
How's yours?
Mine, which had a 78, a nigga sinking a pond, I went after it and took Celso Negão in the water. So there's this little medal here the press never did. When he wore it on his jacket, the press never asked because he knew what it was. He didn't have it. And there, how do I get it? I'm a racist. If I see anyone falling in the pond, and if I'm racist, I wouldn't dive in there. I like Bolsonaro. I said, dive in, get the person out of the water.
I understand. Thanks for coming.
That's it. You're creating an atmosphere here.
You added that, but do you think I don't notice halfway?
Like that tired?
Got stabbed some guys who...
I'm going to sleep with Tarcisio today. Look how cute he is.
I'm in, he confirmed.
Jealous? Are you jealous me?
I'm going to sleep with my wife today. I'm happier. Thank you, Bolsonaro. Thanks for your willingness to trade that idea. Even better in EE for the medal.
Thank you. Thank you. You deserve the medal.
Thank you. Oh, you who are watching. Oh, we were going to leave all the links for you to follow Bolsonaro here in the fixed comment. Okay, yes, you will get everything with just one click, right? And you can suggest a new guest or new topics is in Discord. Well, thank you, good, in Discord. That's there in the description, okay, man? Do you want to say something else or okay?
Said, no, thank you very much. Okay, it's worth it. Wait there. The last one goes, go. My friends from Rio de Janeiro. I'm asking you Sunday, 10 a.m., Copacabana. For what is left of our democracy, for those poor brothers of ours who are sentenced to 7 years in prison, it's about free speech. But there are people saying Nicolas will be there talking. My son Flavio will be there. Me, Malafaia, yes. There will be Valadares, who is the rapporteur for the project in Sergipe, right? Project rapporteur there, of Laishi. Maybe Zook also talks, among others, that you end up forgetting. Here it's right, and it will be 11. Time for you to show us that we are on the right side. I do this for Brazil, for me, for us, for our future, for what is most sacred, our freedom. We'll be there Sunday, 10 a.m., a men's kiss, or rather, a women's kiss. And a hug from the man, thank you.
Hold on, this medal here. I'm not following you, so fuck, hey.
Man, it's the inedible dando.
Kiss in the eyes. But, oh, thanks, man. Again, oh, if you're going to speak out, fucking do it responsibly, okay? If you are going to answer Bolsonaro's request.
No sash.
This with responsibility, without breaking anything, being people. Okay, thank you once again, Bolsonaro. Thank you everyone who watched, and we'll see you Monday. Okay, kiss, bye.